not live. I don't believe you.
Well, Steve, you have stuff you can say if you don't believe him.
Hang on, I got something for this.
Oh, Rayquaza's tomorrow.
There you go, Prophet sent you something.
Isn't that technically? Oh wait, it's tomorrow. Yeah, if that was today.
Yeah, the Shining Rayquaza raid's tomorrow evening.
Yay.
I love how stupid is misspelled, Steve.
Right.
Yes.
But Cat, did you watch any of the videos that I had sent to you? You should. Especially the kid with nunchucks.
I need it to be Friday night already so I can drink my eggnog.
What the fuck?
Oh, it's not my eggnog, man. I went and got the Molten Brown recipe, so it has like 3 different alcohols in there.
Nice. Should've gone with the Martha Stewart one that has like fucking 20 different alcohols.
So it has cognac, bourbon, and Jamaican rum. So I'm gonna be feeling good this week.
Ain't no way you're drunk right now.
I mean, Cat has done drunk streams.
He has.
Tipsy.
He hasn't gotten like the reels that I sent you, Prophet.
I got the 5 set.
I was about to say.
Oh yeah, I mean, who
The
gets
last time I remember you even. Yeah, last time I remember you even getting remotely tipsy was, oh god, was it with LJ? You know, that is the perfect time to go to bed when you have that little buzz.
Equilibrium. Damn it. Yes. But I'll remember this, don't worry. Probably, maybe, maybe not.
Prophet will remember this.
Yeah, Telltale game. We did,
I think
and they
so.
came back. We keep out killing them.
We can't do our dailies if they keep dying.
Yeah, there was literally, so the daily today is kill 500 illuminate, and we liberated 2 planets like 6 hours beforehand, so there was like literally an impossible to do daily because there was no illuminate.
This is why they just need to rotate between bugs of robots and luminates.
Oh.
Well, I mean, we are actually sacking a lot of. They are. That's what's happening right now. We're losing a lot of territory on the bots and bugs front. First they're doing the Killzone
Look,
crossover.
you just had to remind them who was made in God's image.
John Helldiver.
John Helldiver.
Let's go.
I saw the Helldivers in the second part of the secret level.
Nice.
Yeah, that came out yesterday.
Let's fucking go.
You get to watch the Concord episode. No, the second batch is, and season 2 has been confirmed. I mean, again, the sad part is the Concord one is definitely the worst one in my opinion. But like all of them were good. Yeah, it's there.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to watching that with you. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Wait,
let's
I
go.
heard
I mean,
Helldiver was dog shit.
Well, the Helldiver one is like all the PlayStation titles. It's not really a Helldiver specific one. Kratos shows up for like one scene and then dips. It's like, here you go, hero gun. Yeah. Yeah, I went back and watched the ones I missed. That Unreal one was actually really good. It makes me upset.
Yeah,
It makes me upset
was.
we never got another Unreal tournament.
Well, they had their little MMO one that they came out with a few years back.
MO Unreal or Quake? Because I know the Quake one.
Was it Quake?
Yeah, it was the
It
Quake
may have been
Champions.
Quake. Yeah.
I will whenever they
I'm
announce Quake
quaking
5.
in the porcelain throne.
Bravo, join a lobby. We're missing one more.
I'm waiting for the Half-Life episode just to be another cock tease to us.
There was a Half-Life episode?
No, but I want him to make it just to smite us even for. I want him to like make a Silk Song one. I want him to make a Half-Life. All the games that were all like the Beyond Good and Evil. Every single game that everyone's hyped for years, they need to make a secret level.
And then have their release dates at the end, and then for Half-Life 3 it just says, lol, never. Just Gabe Newell's face, just staring at you smugly.
I love Gabe's response. It's like, every time someone makes a Valve can't count to 3 jokes, I push back all the Half-Life 3, Team Fortress 3, and everything by another year.
Even in the year 50,000.
No, they can't.
Oh, that's another year. Another year.
Just give us Left 4 Dead 3.
Oh, you mean Back for Blood? Yeah.
Don't you say Black for Blood is Left 4 Dead 3.
Oh. I forgot it was Valve.
Oh.
It was on Xbox, but no, it was Valve, just like how Team Fortress 2 and Half-Life 2 were on Xbox and PlayStation.
Yeah, the orange box.
Yep. I'm actually staring at the orange box right now. Covered in a thick layer of dust.
Nice.
With a blue see-through PS2 memory card right next to it.
Have fun.
Hello, chat. How's it going? Left 4 Dead 3 win, yeah. Peon, did that redemption actually work? I did refresh her before stream, so it should have gone through. Lucario, you were at 700 boxes yesterday. You're telling me you did 200 boxes, like, in a day? Have you not slept? You should sleep. All right, I just got the tweet out, chat. Go give it some love. And we grab today's sauce. Hello, Avies. Will I be doing 1,000 boxes? No. No, I'm doing my 500, chat. And the logic for this we kind of went over yesterday. So, if you know, you know, but just to re-clarify, that was so weird that it basically like jumped and then jumped. God, my hair is getting long. Sorry, chat. Let me comb it. It's like my hair just gets like ridiculously curly, so like it just naturally does that, and there's nothing I can do to it when it gets this way. But yeah, like the reason you don't want to do 1,000 boxes in a lotto normally is because, again, like I said, it's that point of like diminishing returns, right? So like as you are going on, you hit a point where it's like you physically cannot store the embers, you don't actually need the mana prisms, you don't really gain much benefit from the QP, and so you're kind of sitting there and you're like, okay, so all that's left is probably my essential materials and my FP. Well, the essential materials are highly subjective as to whether or not you need, as many as that, right? If you're a brand spanking new player, you can argue that there's technically no amount of essential materials that you wouldn't need, but most of the people that are able to farm that many boxes are people that don't actually need that much. There's always future events that you can grind. There's always, again, nodes that you can go sit on, and there's always yet another lotto every single year. This is the one anomaly. This is the first time ever in FGO's history since the short year that we have not gotten 2 lottos in a year. This may be, par for the course from now on, or it may just be this is a fluke. I'm going to assume they'll go back to doing their 2 lottos a year because that's how they've always done it. And I suspect that that's what they still wish to do. But with that in mind, I think that, even with this being the only one, there's still only so much of the resources you can physically fit. So, yeah, there's just no real reason to. would be hell and would encourage mega grinding? I don't think it does. Like I said, I think people think that that's the case because they're trying to apply how should I put this? They're trying to apply what they believe to be logic, but the reality is it's usually a lack of experience. Almost everyone I've ever talked to that has done 1,000 boxes usually comes away from the experience going, I shouldn't have done that. There are some people that continue to do it. Those people are usually people that are doing it for EPing. Because again, like most of the people that I know, like they've hit the same points that I've hit where it's like after a certain point you realize just how fucking little you're getting out of the box and how much better it would have been to instead just, you know, use the resources elsewhere. I do have some units partway to 120 to burn embers on. Yeah, but this is a completely inefficient way to get embers. Like, if embers are your only reason for doing this, it's a terrible reason. Just wondering if you have enough FP. Oh, I certainly do now. Like, so we've talked about the FP issues before, and FP is basically a problem if you're consistently Grail casting. However, while I am doing my 500 boxes here to restockpile that FP some, I am going to be done after the 500. Why am I not going to 1,000? Why am I not getting more FP? Why am I stopping there? Well, it's simple. For starters, again, I have faith that they will probably... By the way, I made some adjustments to this comp chat, so now I can pretty much always card the middle wave. Boop. You can see I'm critting for about 100k harder than I used to be. So, yeah, it's just one of those deals where I'll also clear here completely because, again, I made adjustments. But yeah, it's one of those deals where it's like, you don't actually end up needing it. And you're going to sit there and you're going to be like, okay, well, if all I need is like, let's say the FP in this case, yes, I can still get FP from other sources. Yes, I can, you know, try to subsist, but I'm also just going to sit there and say, like, if I run out and I can't Grail cast at a certain point, does that have an actual monetary value? I think it really depends on your position on, like, min-maxing in the game. If you're a free-to-play person, that certainly does not have any value. Like you're not going to go, like, no, why would I spend any fucking money on this, right? And you're probably wondering, like, okay, well, why would I need to spend money to get my Grail casting done? I'm talking about literally spending money to get yourself refills to do more boxes at the lotto to basically keep going, right? But beyond that, I think your average person is probably also going to say no to that type of premise. And I'm about to show you guys something really, really interesting here. So I am sitting at... $475 boxes? 475,000? Or not thousand, no, 475. Just so that means I have done 475 boxes. Okay? I didn't get to show it to you. Damn. Whoops. Hold on, chat. Let me do the node real quick and I'll be able to make my point. But yeah, it's one of those deals where you really just don't gain a lot of benefit. I know people say future proofing. I counter future proofing with basically you reach a point where you just don't need to do much of anything because you're future proofed on everything. And you don't need to go to such exorbitant lengths to do that. Most materials will kill themselves very easily for you with a decent number of boxes, not necessarily something like 1,000. Like again, for my account, and I have most of the units in the game, I've determined that number to be 500. Even then, I still feel like I'm overkill in so many different ways. All right, so this is one of the few that I basically can't card because I didn't get a second buster. Need updated art link, please? Oh, yes, sorry, my bad. There you go. There is today's artwork. Looks at 2,000 Ashes of Remembrance right now. Right, but is that 2,000 that you need or 2,000 that you have? Like, because here's the other thing. Do you need them? This is a wild concept for a lot of people. Do you need all of the materials that you're projected to need? Now, you're probably thinking, Cad, you're talking in fucking circles. What do you mean? Think about it. Like, for instance, I started out with like 400 of these fucking things. I guarantee you I don't need 1,000. There's probably not even 1,000 used in the entire game. Oh, yeah, here you go, chat. I will end this lotto with more than 400 silver apples. My post lotto numbers will be 300 plus gold apples, 400 plus silver. And I am extremely efficient at my apple usage. You could easily be less efficient than me, and you would still never have to use a quartz at 500 boxes. There's at least 1,000 madness pellets used, including appends. Cool, I don't care. Why would you max all of your appends? Chat, you're coming around to it, I feel like. You're eventually going to realize what I'm trying to say here. You don't actually need all the resources. Like, here's what I'm saying. I did all of my bronze apples and all of my blue apples. And I'm down from about 700 silvers. And I will finish still with 700 gold and silver apples combined. That's going to be their problem. And that's why I'm going to tell you right now, they're probably going to keep doing 2 lottos a year. Why? Because they have an apple issue. They can't make us use our apples otherwise. I still have over 600 gold. Yeah, I believe it. Also, you don't need to max every unit day one. You get mats in the shops and future events. Yep. Yep. Like, that's... I'm not advocating for you guys not to farm and not to, like, make progress on your account. I'm pointing out that there is a point where farming more boxes becomes lunacy and becomes sort of a, like, self-fulfillment, like desire type deal of, like, it's just you forcing yourself to do more. You don't actually need it. For the pin swap now? Yep. We talked about that with the video. I still need to get that video out. But yeah, like, oh my god. Yeah, it's actually kind of nuts. Let me see. Oh, I never got my Chaldea app imported in on this computer. I need to do that this weekend. Well, I say that my weekend's going to be busy because apparently Saturday night I need to go spend time with my sister. Sunday I need to go spend time with my brother. Next Tuesday, I basically have to like spend time with the family, and that's Christmas Eve. So like, basically for the next like starting this weekend, like four out of 4 days, I will be spending 3 of them with family. And it's like, I'm not begrudging my family, but like, holy crap, that's just a lot of stuff I have to get done. About 650 days in, I'm at the point where I don't need a lot of the materials. I'm just going to do what I need rather than go overboard. Yeah, so my JP account is run very differently than my NA. My NA account is, as we like to call, future-proofed. Okay? My NA account is always farming 2 years ahead. This is a really good position to be in. It's also an incredibly boring position to be in. Why? Go to my NA account, chat. Give me some of those drops, Cat. I need them. Like I said, I think this is going to end up being a record for me. I had like 500 boxes for drops. So, I haven't done my 3 missions today. So I need to farm 3 missions. And then otherwise, I'm going to do the exact same thing I've been doing every single day since I finished the NA event. I'm just going to go make 3 blue apples. Why? There's literally nothing else I need to do. Like, oh man, I could finish Imaginary Scramble or Oku. I don't really even need to finish them. There's rewards there, but it's not a like gotta do type thing. I could certainly spend the time to do them. In fact, if I wanted to be hyper efficient with my AP, I should actually go run 3 like 1 AP nodes in Oku and then convert all the rest to blue apples. But I do actually have a need for some of these materials from 6.5 still. So I'm just going to go and farm this for my 3 runs. And it's that simple. Is Blue Apple farming too OP? Yeah, in that regard. Hello, Ray. Hello, Robo. How many units even need 2 appends maxed at the same time? I'd say 2 is a pretty safe number. There's the occasional unit that you would like to have 3, but the reality is most units need at most 1. Like, it's just the truth of the matter. So, like, all of my projections don't project in for me maxing out my appends. Why? It's basically worthless. And because they made the coin situation the way that it is. Why am I plug suiting? Hold on. like chat, if they had made coins farmable, I would have a completely different stance on this. Completely. Okay? But because coins are finite, they are limited by number of copies rolled and by your bond, you cannot get infinite coins. Basically, you cannot get all the coins that you could possibly need for 1 unit without NP5ing the unit, and in fact it's actually NP6, as chat will remember. Therefore, I have taken this stance that being completionist with regards to appends is just being dumb. It's like, people can do it if they want, but you're effectively feeding into what the developers have set up as a trap. Like you're going, hey, that's a trap right there. I'm going to step in it. And you're stepping in the trap, you're giving them your money, and you're straight up incentivizing them to do more crap like that. So, like I said, obviously, in general, you can, give the developers money. It's a gotcha game. We understand people do spend money on them. However, I think there's a fine line between, hey, let me, roll to like max out the unit versus, hey, let me roll one more beyond the max, even though there's actually no real gameplay value added. Like, that's where I draw that line. Okay. So because of the way they designed the system and because they have not allowed coins to become a farmable thing, I choose to view appends from the standpoint of they are unlike skills. Skills are very much in the eye of the beholder. There are people out there that will go out there and they will max them all. Appends, I know of almost nobody who is maxing all their appends. Almost nobody. And the reason why is because it would require you to roll NP5 plus of every unit. So that's kind of an issue that I think the developers have. I think even the mega whales have this approach at this point. So therefore, I don't see much reason to do so. Hey Gurus, how's it going? We're talking about coins. We were talking about appends basically, and like the need to like when you're setting farming goals for your account and stuff, do you actually need to farm everything, right? Like do you need all like known uses of a material? And it's like with regards to appends, not only should we not have ever had the opinion of getting like all of them, right? But we also now have the ability to append swap. So like there's just actually no reason to get them all. Like get enough for like maybe one or two appends. Don't worry about the others. And if you find a need for it, you can just switch which append you want. Like it's such a better approach. It's better for your sanity. It's better for realistic farming goals. That way you don't have to go insane. And it's going to make it so that you're not sitting there and suddenly going like, oh, now I need like, this crazy number of this material. Oh, but wait, I haven't farmed this one material that I need to get to before that. So now I got to go farm a crazy amount of that material too. And I got to go farm a crazy material as well over here and then over here and then over here. And it just keeps going, right? Like basically with FGO and really I'd say like with a lot of other gotcha games in general, you do reach a point after playing for a long time where your account is relatively like made. And at that point you can go like, okay, I don't actually have a huge need for any of these resources. Yes, there are needs that I will have, but they are not like immediate. They are not imperative. They are not something that I cannot work on over time. And that's what you begin to realize is, again, that you're not playing a foot race, you're playing a marathon. And you're just going like, all right, I'm just going to pace myself. Even and steady is the way that this goes. So it's like, again, I say this, and nowadays, it used to be back in the day, people looked at me and they're like, he did 500 boxes? He's insane. Now people look at me and they're like, Cad, you're only doing 500 boxes? Why aren't you doing 1,000? And I'm like, I'm just doing the same amount I've always done because that's the amount that works for my account. And it's like, it's wild that people don't seem to understand that. Like, I never did 500 back in the day for EPing reasons either. It just, I think people thought that I was doing it for EPing because at that time, like in the early days of FGO, that was so much more than most other people did. Most other people, again, I'd wager most people did not go above 100 even, and we're talking specifically like within the Twitch community, okay? Not even like general purpose in the game, because general purpose in the game, like across all players of the game, the average is literally like 20 boxes. It's pathetically low. But like even with the more engaged community here on Twitch, you did not often see people going above 100 back in the early days. I still only do 100? Yeah. Didn't boxes cost 800 in old lottos also? Yeah, they used to cost more. So like when I say that I did 500 boxes in a lotto, there were technically one exception to that prior. So like, I guess now there's two exceptions where I didn't do 500. One was Morgan Fest right here, and the other was the original Da Vinci lotto. So this was because it happened during April, literally right in the middle of tax season, which is the worst possible time for a lotto for me. And Morgan Fest is because I actually determined that my account only needed 300 boxes this time. And like even that was pushing it. So like my account just legitimately did not need the resources. But prior to that, like you can say I didn't do 500 boxes, but for some of the original lottos, I did 350. However, if you do 350 at 800 a box, you'll notice that it is startlingly close to 500 boxes at 600 a box. So it's like, yeah, I've basically just always been doing the same amount of currency no matter what. FGA didn't normalize anything. You're a content creator, CAD, 4 digits or fall off. Sure, right? Like, and that's, to be fair, there are some content creators out there that like they'll give you excuses for why they're doing the amount that they're doing. you know it's like it's not because they're actually getting benefit. Their benefit is their EPing. It's straight up like I'm just doing this for the clout. I may farm more when I get a new tablet. Playing on phone is so bad nowadays. Oh yeah, I mean like, and I've always told you guys too, it's like the reason that you'll see me like rant about this stuff is one, because we have people in chat that are trying to flex, and two, because I don't want anyone else to feel like they need to do a shit ton of boxes, right? Like you don't need to feel bad if you're someone out there and you're like, oh man, I'm only doing 50 boxes. Oh man, I'm only doing 100 boxes. Oh man, I'm only doing 200 boxes. Who cares? If that's the amount that you've decided, go for it. That's your goal, hit it. That's all you need to hear. And if you're someone that set the goal of 1,000 and you're not liking what I'm saying, who cares? Go for it. It's the truth of the matter, right? Like if that is your goal, just do it. Don't give a crap what anyone else says or does, right? The only thing that I'm trying to point out more than anything is that beyond a certain amount, the boxes become relatively worthless to the player, and they're either gaslighting themselves or again they're doing it basically to flex. Like, oh, I spent a shit ton of quartz money just to flex. Yeah. The Matt's building is mostly a vicious cycle. Need XYZ units to farm 90 plus an event. Okay, so this is really interesting. Wait, how many runs of this have I done? I haven't paid attention. Is that 2 or 3? Survey says 2. So someone was asking me before about my composition on JP and why I'm running it. And we are basically like, it's something that I can do. And I'm not going to say that only I can do it, but only I can do it. What I mean to say is, unless you have a grailed saber like me, you're not doing what I'm doing. I did it because it was consistent. You guys saw some of the other compositions that I had tried out beforehand. If I had not arrived on that as an actually consistent comp, I would not be running it. In fact, I'd probably be back in the 90 plus. Sora, thank you for the 11. Appreciate it. And King, thank you for the 41. Sorry, I'm just now getting around to that. Is 120 Yamato possible to do 90 plus? Probably. Three-turn lotto farming was painful. The waiver error if you didn't have the right unit. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, farming is much more accessible now. Peak efficiency farming is the least accessible it's ever been, I would argue. But that's just, it's boiling down to semantics at that point. It depends on entirely what I mean when I say peak efficiency. Hello, Evelyn. The 3-button 90 plus is so nice and easy. So what 3-button are you running? Are you running like similar to what I was running the other day with like Cayenne of Dark? Are you running something else? How would you sell this game to a newcomer? Depends. I think it really boils down to whether or not you have interest in the Fate IP and whether or not you like, I'd say like turn-based strategy or card battlers, right? Like Slay the Spire, that sort of stuff. If you like that sort of thing, you're gonna like this game. If you don't like that sort of thing, like if you're like someone that's like, oh man, I need my action combat, I hate turn-based stuff, this is not the game for you. 5C 90 plus is way more efficient than early lottos. Oh yeah, you're not wrong. Sorry, I was like, what do you mean it's more efficient? Yeah, no, that's like, again, being able to farm, absolutely the most accessible that the game has ever seen. Being able to farm at the peak possible efficiency, absolutely unaccessible compared to where it has been prior. Like, again, we basically peaked right after Oberon came out, before the advent of 90++, where like Oberon was in the game, Castoria was in the game, like anybody could clear anything with an NP1. And it was just like, it was so accessible for so many people. But like, yeah, now 90++, 6 slotting it, especially, like, that's rough. That's very difficult for people to do. I think Slay the Spire comparison's very good. Yeah, and there's actually, I think Slay the Spire 2 is coming out soon. So like, but yeah, that's kind of what I would compare it to. I would say, again, like, because I see all these debates about like turn-based versus action and stuff, which just, this kind of rages in video gaming in general in the community. But like, I don't know. I think most people probably don't care if a game is turn-based or action-based. They just care that the game is good. And I'm going to say that FGO still has a lot of that. It gets a lot of shit from people for its mechanics, but the reality is the mechanics are actually pretty forgiving. I think the biggest issue that FGO has for a newcomer is, again, like, understanding everything that's going on. There is a, I'd say, steep learning curve. Well, not really. Like the game when it first starts out is like brain dead easy to understand, and then it's like, do you want to get better? Then it just immediately skyrockets. Like it's like a learning cliff. Like, you're just like, oh man, how do I learn these things? Like how do I gain access to this? And it's like, this knowledge is not easily obtained in the game. Balatro the gambling game? That's true, yes. Yes, tell them we're like Balatro. I'd say onboarding is very bad, even if the content is easier until Camelot. Yeah, I agree with that. I completely agree with it. Like, it's I think it's just one of the biggest problems with the game. Because, like, if you ever talk to somebody about FGO and they're like a hater on the game, and like they're sitting there and they're just like, oh god, the combat's so bad, like the story's so bad, and then like you talk to them, you're gonna find out, like, usually the person that's like that, like, pissy about stuff, they either are like some jilted person that didn't get their Ereshkigal or their Jalter back in the day, or there's somebody that like literally didn't play past like Orleans. Like, they just are like, oh, this game is so boring. And you're like, my dude, it's like you quit on the first level. Like, of course it's boring. It's the first level. It's not supposed to be that difficult, right? Like, so I do find that to be a weird, like, thing that happens whenever I'm talking to people outside of the FGO community and the topic of the game comes up. But I don't know. I think it's like, people are gonna hate just to hate sometimes too. It's like if we bring up Genshin in chat, there's going to be a shit ton of people that are going to be like, yeah, Genshin, right? Like, and the same thing, it's like if we bring up, I don't know, like Wuthering Waves, there's going to be people that'll complain about it. So it's just like, I think that's just kind of how the gacha community works as a whole. Fate boring? They didn't try. Oh, yeah. I mean, like, I've seen people insist that, like, Fate's story is bad, and I do think that there's like some subjective like portion of that. Like the story that Fate tries to tell, especially FGO, right? It may not be for you. It may not be the best story. But it's a damn good story. I don't think anyone realistically would tell you it's bad. The people that will claim that it's bad don't have the like self-awareness to realize that it's purely their opinion and not that it's actually bad. It's like, wait, is the story bad or am I the problem? It's usually them that are the problem. Enjoy some parts more than others. Honestly, I think people shit on the early story too much. I think a lot of people haven't like gone back through it again, and like everyone just kind of memes on it in the community. But usually when I talk to like a new player, they're like, oh yeah, I loved it. And I'm like, I think it's basically, it's not until you get to like Camelot that you start to realize how much better the story can be. But I think it's like, it's very passable. It's not anything that's like, oh my god, this is like off-putting type deal. They're fine, not 10 out of 10 material. Yeah, exactly. No one's happy with anything nowadays. I do think that is a problem. People just like to complain, but it is what it is, right? I think, and you know, we've talked about this before. It's like there's a difference between like complaining and being toxic and like trying to be constructive with it. So it's like if you want to say like, oh yeah, there's some problems with those singularities that they should address, I would agree with you. Like I don't think it's a perfect story, and I do think it has some issues, but it's like I think they're largely still passable. One of the greatest stories I've ever experienced, but it's truly difficult to explain to people. I usually just tell them it's about waifus in pain. That's an interesting way of putting it. Yeah, I mean, like, it is definitely a very difficult story. Like, I would say it's about humanity. That is overly simplistic of a descriptor, but also like extremely apt of a descriptor as well. And it's like, it's just difficult to say like more than that. Think I should make a top 10 servants for 2025? You know, I don't care much for those videos, but by all means go make it. Like I don't know. I'm not going to shit on any of the content creators for doing it. My stance is usually that I just try instead of like, because again, and I'll say this, like everybody makes those types of videos, right? So like, usually that's why I don't. Because like, does the greater community as a whole need yet another take as to what the top 10 units are, and it's probably the same top 10 units type deal? Or would they rather see me do something different? And that's usually why I just do something different every time. But I don't think there's anything wrong with doing it, right? Like the community does need people to give their take. Whether or not people agree with it, I think is up for debate. But yeah, I don't have any issue with anyone doing stuff like that. You plan to do what I want to see? Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I have to do... It's part of the reason I want to get done with the lotto here, because I have to do all of my New Year stuff, and I'd like to get a head start on that a little bit. But yeah, so chat, you guys want to see why my Artoria clean clears? That's why. I said anything that has Buster or Buster crit, I'm getting it. So that's basically what I did. In fact, I don't even think I got them all because I didn't. Yeah, there's one over here as well. Is there another Buster up though? Oh, there is another Buster up. Although it's technically locked. Well, I could get it. Should I get it, chat? Should I get it? Yeah, why not? I have plenty of resources. That's actually the biggest problem. I am running dangerously low on saber statues now because of this. Hopefully there's some in the lotto shop. Do it for her. I mean, this actually, like, saber is now my most complete class score. Like, it's not even close. For Plunk. I'll grab the arts up as well. And there we go. So, like, the only thing I don't have is I don't have the unlocker for this because they've only ever given out like 5 of these. Like, ever. So it's just like, okay. Which is really funny, by the way, because we have so many of the tier 1 unlockers that, like, we're getting to the point where probably over the course of the next year, we won't need any more. Like, you'll literally have all of the ones that you need for the entirety of the game. But yeah, so that's why. Like, just I only have 5% NP damage up. That alone is enough to make my Arturia clean clear this node, which is wild. Wild, because my Arturia could leave, I think, like up to 60k at points before that. So just that pure damage variance, like, I say that there may still be the ability to non-clean clear, but if there is, I haven't seen it. So it's like it must be such a low such a low percentile that, like, it's just not going to be a thing. God, give us the statue lotto. I know people would love it. I myself would certainly abuse it, but, like, I can easily see why they're not going to, right? Would this change Takaru? Yeah, a little bit. Like, would it make Takaru able to clean clear? No. No. Probably could get Takaru close, though. It's just there's not much point to it because both my Koyanskaya and my Castoria are Bond 15. And Oberon is getting perilously close at this point. So, like, either way, I'd have to run Oberon. Either way, it just doesn't really matter. See how much this Buster crit does now. 287, that was a low roll. Bring back Da Vinci Lotto. Yeah. Well, you did notice that when they asked for what people would like to see as a rerun, they restricted it from year 5 onward. They did not allow you to go back to, like, year 1 through 5. Which may be the whole, like, spaghetti code argument that people were posing. Like, and not that it's spaghetti code, but it may be the point of, like, trying to go back to an event that ran in such an old engine state is just, like, non-possible for them. Three and 4 turning with Takaru, Zerturia, double Castoria. Yeah, I mean, like, I was doing basically that same composition with Caskill instead of one of the Castorias, and, like, yeah, it worked. It's just the problem with that is I was still having to double MP, so that's why I, like, stopped doing it, because it's like, even though I can 6 slot the 90++, if it's so annoying to do it and I don't care about my refills because I have so damn many of them, why don't I just go drop down to the 90 plus? And that's what I did for a while until, again, somebody got me to like show off my Artoria again, and I was like, wait, I can milk this. It's like, hold on, I can get closer than I originally gave myself credit for. Oh damn, that almost cleared itself. The good news is, because of that, I literally don't need to worry about cards. So like this actually cuts down on the number of skills I need to press now. Like doing like level 100ing my CE, getting my class scores leveled, throwing on crit command codes onto her cards. Like, I now have a ultra consistent composition. This comp cannot fail other than by user error, which is nice. Unfortunately, I didn't realize this until I was about like 400 boxes in, so I wish I had abused this for longer. The good news is I think I'll probably get to my 500 boxes before Oberon finishes. So I'll be able to abuse Oberon for a little bit longer. Is Moon Cancer class score available yet? Yes, Moon Cancer is. Moon Cancer is the only one for extra 1 that's available at the moment, which is stupid. But it does mean that I can finally go in there and start to level that class score for some tangible benefit. Because the real reason that I really want that class score isn't Moon Cancer. It's Ruler. Because, dear Lord, my bunny, oh man. Avenger is there, isn't it? Avenger is on the extra 2. What the heck is that? Do you think they may add strange fake servants this year? Probably not. I get people like asking me like, am I going to roll for some of the units from strange fake? There's no guarantee. However, I think it is likely that it does occur for 2 reasons. 1, we know we're getting the anime. 2, basically all of the barriers to getting those units have been eliminated. And what I mean by that is Narita had originally said that he did not wish to allow any of the strange fake units to come into FGO, and he has since relaxed that stance via an interview. So I'm going to say it's highly likely that it happens. Who you get, how many of them you get, I think all of that sort of thing is up for debate. I usually get to 220 boxes, then my apples run out. Yeah, I'm gonna say like I don't know if you're a JP player at all, Dime, but like basically by the time NA gets here, like it gets so much easier for things. I do think a lot of it boils down to being able to make blue apples throughout the year. I think if you're somebody that doesn't have the time to like play consistently, or you let a lot of your AP rot, it can be an issue. But it's definitely nice if you go into a lotto with a full like just load out of apples. And that's usually what I try to do every year. I basically try not to use apples in what I like to call normal content. So I don't use apples because I fell behind in an event, because my goal is to not fall behind in an event. I don't use apples to just go out and farm a free quest because it's just normal and I just do it over time. So I only use apples when it's like efficient for me to do so. So we're talking half cost embers, hunting grounds. I don't know, maybe an event that has an extremely lucrative one-off node. But usually it's lottos. Lottos are usually the like biggest place that I will pop apples. So I will just hoard them throughout the year for the actual lotto. They throw piles at you. Yeah, it really feels like it nowadays. Didn't he say them not coming until he finished the light novel? Yeah, he relaxed that stance. He said basically that he's okay now with units coming into FGO if they have to. Which was also when he was reportedly gearing up to finish Strange Fake. So, like, I think there's been, like, this idea behind the scenes of, like, hey, get Strange Fake done so we can, get the anime and all that crap and and get some of these units in. So I think because he's going to be finishing it anyways, I think he's relaxed his stance about oh, well, yeah, sure, they can come in. Do you like raids or lottos better? Normally lottos, but that's because lottos have a set structure a lot of the time, and you don't have to worry about I don't know, somebody murdering the crap out of the raid and you not being able to farm it. Yeah, that exactly. Did he finish FSK novel? FSK. Was that supposed to be Strange Fake? People misinterpreting it. Oh, interesting. At one point, you tweeted about people having had the wrong idea. Yeah, that may be a thing because the only way I know about him disallowing it is from word of mouth. So I will just go ahead and say that that was the pervasive idea in the FGO fandom for years, but I don't remember seeing the original comment ever. So that's maybe on me, right? You just want him to go back to writing Bacano. It's been years. Honestly, I doubt he does at this point, but only because it feels like he's got a bunch of other irons in the fire now at this point. I know he's been anime wise, he's been doing Dead Mount Deathplay, so I don't know if that's already done and it was just a one-off that he did, or if he's developing that further. Lottos, we don't get screwed by a 12 a.m. raid start. Yes, we don't get screwed by West Coast bias. Was it a light novel afterward and people got it wrong? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, and I could kind of see that, right? Because it's oh, you don't want people to take the character you created and adapt it into their own crap without you oversighting on that. I'm sure he would probably allow it, but only if he was involved in the process. So it's that makes a hell of a lot of sense. But I can also see how people would get that wrong and apply that to FGO. And drawn by that artist, so there's that. That is true, but I believe Enkidu was a concept that predated Strange Fake. So I think out of all of the units, Enkidu was technically the exception. In the same way that Gil is the exception, right? We know Gil existed prior to Strange Fake. So I think it's more him talking about specific characters that he came up with, where he's yeah, I don't want these somewhere else. They're mine. I made them, right? And that makes sense. I have no issue with that. Just live in California. Raids are easy. Yeah, I mean, that's cool, but oh, imagine not living in California. Couldn't be me. I wouldn't be surprised to see Strange Fake units next year. Yeah, I won't be either. There's a lot of people that are already hypothesizing that we are going to get a Strange Fake unit for New Year's, and I don't think that's a crazy hypothesis. Because when you look at the actual air date for Strange Fake, technically NA already had the first episode dubbed, but the actual Japanese air date is literally it's December 31st, which is huh. I wonder if they would use that to promote the game. Huh. So I think that is the actual like favorite idea for like it's gonna be a strange fake unit at this point. Also, I would like to formally request that chat please stop mentioning the you know which character. Please stop mentioning their name all the time in chat because some people haven't read Strange Fake. The dub was surprisingly good. I usually dislike dubs. I didn't mind it. I still had some issues with some of the choices for casting, but I didn't feel like the quality wasn't there. Like I just disagreed with a couple of them, but I still thought that like largely each one of them was good. That I double popped. Fuck. Okay. Well, hey chat, you guys want to see one Buster card kill? Keck W. Now this gets spicy. And me without my Artoria card. All right, let's see just how hard I can make Artoria hit. Which one of the Strange Fake servants is considered spoiler? If you have to ask, that's already the problem. Just saying, right? Like, yeah, Gillen and Kidu have been known for a long time. I don't really consider them spoiler directly, but come on, chat. Some people haven't read it. Some people would like to experience it. Kind of lacking in waifu servants? I think it probably depends on your taste in waifus. Yeah, listen, chat. You can keep playing with fire, but the mods are gonna shoot you. That's like, I'm trying to do my best not to spoil people on this stuff. I myself have slipped up. I'm gonna personally apologize for that. But again, like, I would at least like to, like as the anime is airing, try to keep, a little bit of a dampener on immediately like coming in a chat and spoiling people, right? Because some people are not going to have like watched the episodes right away, including myself, right? Like it's entirely possible that like a new episode comes out and I have to go live and I haven't seen it. So like I'm going to be hella pissed if someone spoils me. Because I have read some of Strange Fake, but I have not read all of Strange Fake. That being said, though, I'm not sure how far the anime will actually get. I read the manga. I cannot wait till a certain part with a certain character with certain things. Oh, bro, same. I know exactly what you're talking about. There's usually ways you could talk about it without actually spoiling. Like again, if you say something like Saber or Rider or something like that, that can be a thing. There is a unique mechanic in Strange Fake, though, that I would say people should probably not talk about at least yet. You do a watch party for the episodes on Discord. I mean, if they all dump at the same time, fuck yeah. If they don't, then it's difficult to keep doing perpetual watch parties for like one specific time each day. A strange fake servant gets an FGO banner. We can talk about it. Yeah, I mean, don't give me the story spoilers, but yes, you can talk about it. What the did I just do? Did I not wrote? That was 2 scuffs in a row, chat. Hilariously, I can do this literally again here. So, Grim Shadow and Angie Kong, enjoy your gift subs. Laugh at my expense. What a scuff. Like I said, it's straight up like the only way this node fails is if I fail the input. It's not gonna fail otherwise. I'm just glad I didn't brick my Artoria, so that made it really easy. It just immediately turned it into a 4-turn. Can't wait for chat to be in full lockdown in 4 days. I mean, yeah, I guess I should mention. So today, chat, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of a primer / preview of LB7. I intend to make it spoiler free. However, when it comes to actually doing it on stream, y'all know if you fucking spoil me, you're getting banned. So just do yourself a favor. Don't just come in and blurt out. Don't come into chat like the way here's how you walk into chat. Okay, there are 2 types of chatter. There's chatter A, who basically comes in and goes, has CAD fought X? And then there's chatter B, which goes, what part are we on? Be more like B, chat. Chatter A is an asshole who spoils things. Chatter B is literally somebody that's like, hey, I'm not sure where we are. Let me ask so that I don't spoil. Versus Chatter A just blurts something out that may or may not spoil someone. You're talking about X Fight after X event. And I do want to be clear here, chat. When it comes to LB7, unfortunately, you can't really spoil me. Unfortunately. There are some aspects of the story that I'm not on the up and up on, but odds are, if you walk into my chat and you say something, I'm immediately going to know that that's a spoiler, and I'm immediately going to shoot you. Like, it's that simple. Because unfortunately, I do know all of the bosses. Unfortunately, I do know a good chunk of the story spoilers. So, don't test it. You're going to find out directly from me. Now, if a mod times you out or bans you, you can always take it up with me, and I can always, review it and see whether or not it was worthy. But if I ban your ass, there's no disputing it. Because I caught you red-handed. I saw firsthand exactly what you did. Your ass is grass. It's not hard just to not say anything. Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to tell people that like they can't talk about stuff in chat. Just try to keep it relevant to the current story as we're going through it, not getting ahead of yourself. And also, usually we can catch the how do I like to put it? There's technically chatter C, and chatter C is like, I wonder if, and they basically just end up saying some sort of actual story spoiler. They try to like play coy and pretend like they're guessing, but they inevitably get way too fucking specific with it. Over all the years, I've seen like 20 people do this. Only once has someone gotten shot incorrectly for it. And we apologize to that person. But quite literally, whenever we see that, it's usually someone pretending that they don't know, trying to drop spoilers into the chat. So it is a thing. It's fake guessing, yes. It's like, oh my god, I really wonder if hey, do you guys think, like, this is Okeanos, right? I wonder if David's gonna show up looking for the Ark of the Covenant. And you're gonna be like, bro, I'm on a pirate ship with Drake. What the fuck are you talking about? Like it's so obvious of a thing where it's like you could not have possibly predicted that without it being like something that you already knew. And it's like we've seen it happen over and over and over again, and you're like, come on, man. I wonder in a paragraph of the stars aligning, yeah. Like I said, we have unfortunately shot someone incorrectly. Someone did correctly guess the story one time, and it was a false alarm. But that is, like I said, it's only happened once over all the years, so I just assume that usually it's not the case. Better to shoot first and ask the question later anyways, just for the sake of protecting chat. So, because again, like I said, unfortunately at this point, I know most of the stuff. But also keep in mind that like when you're coming into my chat and you're saying things, you're not just spoiling me, you're spoiling like everybody else who's watching. So that's one of the reasons I don't like it. Wonder if Morgan is going to show up looking for a new daughter. Yeah. Nasu is the final boss. Yeah, you could say that. Do I wish to keep farming here, or do I wish to go over LB7 first? So let me take a quick look at this on the side, because I need to take a final thing here. Okay, so Avalon. You know how you spoilered some of the stuff? How are you supposed to reveal it? Ah, okay. Okay, I see one way. That's the neat part, you don't? Yeah. Figured it out. I did. You might want to put something in there that like it's only gonna appear in like the top cell or something. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a copy of this so that I don't become a dumb. Oh, that's right. I forgot that. You can also click into the cell and mark the text. What do you mean by mark the text? Oh, that's so weird. Because, like, if I try to highlight it, that doesn't work. But if I, like, triple click, it does. I have no idea why that works that way. Has there been any new gacha games coming out or announced that caught your attention? I'm considering giving Girls Frontline 2 a try. Because it's XCOM based. Avalon and his unlimited spreadsheets at work. It's really funny because how this entire idea got started was like literally me and Avalon arguing over whether or not you could use like revives. And then we got to talking about it, and then I was like, I should probably do some sort of primer for LB7. And Avalon basically ended up coming up with a bunch of stuff here, and then we sat down the other day and we talked about it, and he cleaned it up from there. Jay have awoken? Is that supposed to be I? Or are you saying that Jay has actually awoken? Primer level everyone you can? Yeah. Trying to make sure that I don't like fuck this up and show off too much here. Okay, that's so weird. Why do I have the... I don't understand why fandom did this like weird ass top bar thing now. I don't know why fandom just doesn't understand that like literally everybody hates this like sidebar bullshit. I think they do. I think they want you to like log in and make accounts. Meanwhile, I'm like, no, I don't need to give yet another like website all of my information. I would like to, keep that down. Yeah, we had the pre-release support campaigns. I see, Steve. Sorry, chat, just give me 1 second. I'm basically just trying to assemble the Avengers. I think we literally already have this. I think we literally already have this. And we already have this. Have we... I assume we already got this too, chat, because doesn't this happen like 100 days earlier on an A? Sorry, I don't even think it's 100. I think it's like a month earlier. We got that last month, okay. We haven't gotten part 4 though yet, right? Actually, we should have. We should have just gotten that. Or is that literally tomorrow? It's been announced. It already happened. We just got it. Okay. Man, I can see this being an all-time low, given the date that it's on and the fact that everyone going to be busy with LB7. Ain't nobody doing part 12 right away. Okay. Oh, wait, hold on. What did I just do? Yeah, I wanted to come back here. Avalon. When did part 2 come out? On Korea and Taiwan. Here's the news post. Oh, I just had like stream date and stuff, but thank you. Yeah, that is actually what I needed. Technically, was the news post. Let me find it. Yeah, I figured you knew because I remember you talking about this. I don't know about publicly, but you at least talked with me about it. Oh, right, because 6.5 is not required, is it? Yeah. Almost like they're an Epic of Remnant. It's optional for some reason. Well, the reason, like, story-wise, it makes no sense. Logistic-wise, it makes perfect sense as to why they don't require it. They know. They don't want to make it harder for you to get the stuff done. That's why, like, only the epilogue for Tunguska is required, not the main Tunguska event. 6.5 literally goes directly into... Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, story-wise, it's like it makes zero sense. But logistically, they're just trying not to require you to do Trom. Did you Korea and Taiwan? Okay. Oh, wow, really? Awaken. I can skip Trom because that's the only one I have left. It will spoil you for some of Trom. I'd advise you to get it done since you have like a week, Razy. But like, yeah. That's so weird because like Taiwan's New Year's lasted longer than JP's. Sorry, Chad. I'm just looking at dates here, so I'm trying to discern a pattern. Okay. Yeah, I get to talk about all this. This should be fun. Oh, let me do this real quick just so that chat can't see this. Chat can't get a sneak peek. Okay. I can't believe Fortnite added Skibbity Toilet. Should I zoom in more? Yeah, there we go. That'll at least get rid of stuff there. So hey guys, my name's Khadroth, and today I have a very special topic to talk about with you guys. So upcoming on NA in the next couple of weeks here, we're basically going to have the release of Lostbelt 7. Now, Lostbelt 7 happened in a very weird way on the JP server, and even more so to a degree on like the Korean and Taiwan servers as well. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a primer for what to expect, not only date-wise here, but also potentially for fights and stuff like that. I've had a lot of questions over the years here about LB7 since it came out, how it works, some of the nitty-gritty stuff. So basically, together with one of my mods, we put together a very nice list of things you might want to know for LB7. My intent with this video is to make it as spoiler-free as possible, but there are ways basically within the spreadsheet to actually reveal more information should you want it. Again, we don't want to spoil who people are and where everything is potentially happening, but you can get that information basically by actually going and looking at the spoiler hidden names that are in there. With that in mind, some of the fights have very unique gimmicks. I'm going to say if you don't want this information on that end, there will be points in the video I will try to, I think, timestamp this so that people can skip certain sections. I'll try to preface it a little bit ahead of time just to let you guys know. So the first part of this video is just going to talk primarily about like the announcement, when to expect it, and all of that. And then the latter part of the video will deal more with the spreadsheet and tips that you might want to know for some of the fights for LB7. Okay, so starting off right away, you guys can see here they actually just announced today that we are going to be getting the live stream basically at 6 p.m. Pacific time on the 24th. That is Christmas Eve. Normally, I cover every single live stream with you guys. I may or may not be around to cover that. It just depends because, again, my schedule is going to be the fact that I'm going to be spending some time with my family. Thankfully, I actually am here for this Christmas. Normally, I go down to my sister's house and spend it with her. But I will be here. They're coming up here instead, and I will be able to spend time with them. But anyways, like I said, that will be when our live stream is. You can expect it to be probably a fairly short live stream, probably about an hour long. But again, we'll just have to see. So needless to say, that'll be their YouTube stream date. The event itself, sorry, not event, the unveiling of Lostbelt 7 Part 1 is going to come out basically on Christmas Day, as you guys can see there. So expect that we were pretty much telling everybody this is the date that it was going to be for a long time. And a lot of people asking me, would it move around and stuff? The first part of Lostbelt 7 was never going to move. We knew exactly the date it would always be. The second part will be a little bit more up for debate, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. So essentially, the thing you need to know really about it is, again, it is a 2-part story chapter release. You do have certain requirements in order to be able to play it. Primarily, obviously, you're going to have the main story chapters ahead of it done, including Lostbelt 6. You will not have to have 5.5 or 6.5 done, though. So that is at least to your benefit if you're trying to struggle to catch up. And there is the requirement as well to be able to complete the epilogue of Tunguska. You do not have to do all of the Tunguska main interlude, just that epilogue portion. But again, you're not required to do like 5.5 and 6.5 in order to be able to do it. Now, I'm not going to go through this entire news brief that they put out. Again, if you want that, basically it's available on their website. But I just wanted to make you guys aware of the fact that there are unlock requirements if you guys haven't gotten that side of things done. Now, taking a look at where we are basically on NA, you guys can see here is fandom's calendar effectively for how things flowed on JP. You were basically just here. We just finished the Carnimus event. We have already had the Melty Blood type Lumina campaign. We've already had the Last Encore campaign. We've already had the Part 3 pre-release campaign, the 2700 Days campaign, and the Part 4 one just came out. You're not going to get this Winter Party Hokkaido thing because it was for a live event that happened in Japan. And so you can see pretty much your next thing up here is going to be the release of 7 Part 1, basically on Christmas. However, after that, just to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what to expect here, there should be, again, a sort of New Year's Eve broadcast. I think you can probably expect that they're going to probably use this maybe to like hype up obviously NA's upcoming New Year's, but obviously at the same time things like maybe even Strange Fake and stuff like that we know they're coming out on the JP side of things. So we'll see what they do. There is again going to be another advanced quest. Don't worry about it too much. It's not anything you have to do like right away ASAP if you're busy with Lostbelt 7. Though just keep in mind that the first half of Lostbelt 7 is actually, in my opinion, the shorter half. So there will be more to do in Part 2 than there is in Part 1. But again, it's up to you if you want to slow roll Lostbelt 7 and like wait until it's all out, or try to like get ahead of it and get it all done as soon as possible. Again, even though there's only 2 parts, there's still going to be a ton of story to actually read. So just keep in mind that it's not going to be something that'll be like a quick affair to get done unless you really just sit down and blitz it. Now, with regards to the way it kind of worked on the JP side for January, you can see here they had the New Year's campaign basically going through the 11th there. I think you can expect pretty much a similar type of thing for NA. They also had a pre-release campaign. This lasted a long time effectively for Part 2. But they had some troubles basically with Part 2 coming out, as it was initially delayed due to some issues they were having on their end with essentially the animations and the map and stuff, which you'll see as you get into Lostbelt 7. They did some really unique stuff. There was yet another advanced quest. I think you might be able to see something like this getting bumped, but who knows? It may still come out at the exact same time, because at worst it's just going to be overlapping with story, so you don't really care. However, I've had a lot of questions as to when will Part 2 release. Now, I think worst case scenario, it's going to be exactly like it was on JP on the 31st. However, I do not believe that is when it will come out on NA. I do believe that they will resolve this issue, partially because they did kind of accelerate things at least a little bit for the Korean server. Now, the Taiwanese server had essentially the same amount of time between the release of LB7 Part 1 and the release of LB7 Part 2 as JP did, which was essentially 5 weeks. For Korea, though, it was only about 3 weeks. And the reality here is that kind of in between this, you do have the Nito Altar banner and stuff that they have to get out here with the pre-release campaign and such. So I do think that'll be a thing. I think they'll give that a week. So you can probably expect to have the New Year's campaign, maybe to have another week there, and to then maybe see the release of part 2 moving up essentially to right after that. So we're thinking somewhere like mid to like kind of early part of the latter half of January there being where you would expect it. So again, somewhere in that, like, I'd say probably like 17th through 20th date range. So expect it maybe a little bit earlier. Don't expect it to like hyper accelerate and like, you know, again, just come and overlap with New Year's. That's probably not going to be the case. They are still going to have some banners and things they need to get out and get done. So expect it to probably happen roughly a week after New Year's ends. But that's when I think you guys can expect part 2, and that's when the story will completely unlock. You'll be able to, again, have your second set of banners, because the other thing to keep in mind is with 7.1's release, there will be no new units with the release of part 1 for Lostbelt 7. That is to say, the gacha banners that come out there are all pre-existing units. It's only with kind of New Year's onward that you start to get the units, and really with part 2 is where you're going to get the 2 major banners for that. So again, you're going to have 2 units to really look forward to with that, and 2 even before that point to potentially roll. Now, again, that's going to be sort of the timing that we anticipate them to come out with. So from this part on, I'm now going to move on to the spreadsheet side of things, which again, like I said, I've tried to make this as spoiler-free as possible. But if you guys really want to get your hands on the spreadsheet, I'll put the link in the comments below, and you guys can certainly reveal more of it. So to start off with here, we kind of have a breakdown, because how this got started and where we thought like, hey, it might be useful to do a primer is there are some unique kind of scenarios with regards to whether or not you can command seal revive, whether or not you can blue cube revive, and essentially there are reasons for this, but it is an issue that you're going to encounter in LB7. So be very careful with how you manage the fights, because some of them you will not have an easy time reviving in necessarily, and there will be mechanics at play that might lock you out of it. Needless to say, for the majority of Lostbelt 7, you will not be able to command seal revive, though blue cubes usually do work, with kind of one pretty glaring exception to that. But again, this is just the way that it kind of broke down. So we have an entire page devoted to this if you want it, but we have a more generalistic page talking about the individual fights here. So again, you've been warned if you don't want to see anything in relation to the fights. So right here, essentially, we're going to be seeing like kind of the quote unquote, I'm just going to say big bosses that you're going to be encountering. We did put some kind of tips and recommendations in here for you guys if you wanted a like easy to understand sort of kind of guide to being able to defeat some of this. Like I said, a lot of these fights are very gimmicky. A lot of them have just kind of some sort of like major mechanic that once you know it, it will make the fight a lot easier to prepare for. If you do not know it and you go into it blind, you might find yourself failing the fight the first time. So it's totally up to you. If you guys want to go in completely blind, you can forget everything you're seeing here. But if you wanted some more pointers, you were really struggling, we decided to put this guide out in order to help you. Now, there are quite a few enemies that are going to have, you know, break bars. There's quite a few enemies that are going to have full charge type mechanics. And there are also going to be some that are going to, again, have, you know, buff removal and stuff like that. And even an age-old mechanic that you may have seen back in some of the earlier days of FGO that you found annoying. So I'm going to say there are definitely some surprises. You can choose to spoil yourself on them by reading through this section if you want, or you can completely choose to ignore it for now. However, there is one big thing I need to talk about, and this was the kind of big thing that everyone was worried about and everyone was trying to warn everyone about for LB7. There is a raid in LB7 Now, the raid has many effects. There are many potential classes for it that you're going to run into. It is largely a random thing. However, the big thing that you guys need to know about this raid is that it has a very, very, very annoying mechanic in the fact that it's, how should I put this as spoiler friendly as possible? It's almost like an onsen mechanic of having a cooldown for your units, except you're not going to have a cooldown. There will come a point where you will be able to gain your units back, but only once you have completed the raid. So be very careful with that. You want to plan your route through accordingly. This is a big reason why everybody warned everyone for LB7 to, again, make sure that you actually level up your units. Make sure that you have as many units up and online as possible. Again, you don't necessarily have to max out their skills, and there are some unique mechanics in here. I just want to see real quick if we actually talked about them right here. Yeah, so you can see one of the big things that we talk about with regards to the raid is that the absolute bare minimum for your ability to be able to get through the raid will be 15 leveled units. Talked with Avalon a lot about this. Well, this is certainly possible, and I think you will see some challenge people actually get this done. The reality is going to be that for the vast majority of players out there, you're going to need more than 15 units. And the reason why is because, again, you basically have until the raid boss pops their Noble Phantasm until you're dead. Now, the problem at play there, though, is that due to the lethality of the raid boss and the mechanics at play, you can very easily die before the raid boss gets their Noble Phantasm off. The Noble Phantasm's bars will be dictated by the class that the raid boss happens to be for that particular fight. It will change throughout the raids. You will have to complete multiple of these raids. But it will end up having, again, that sort of peculiar issue of like, you might die well before the raid boss ever gets to their NP, or you might be struggling with the raid boss immediately getting to their NP, or sorry, not immediately, but rather fast, and essentially then being in trouble with that. So be very careful. You can solo some of these, and there are unique mechanics for the fight that allow you to not have to take any other units. That is to say, you can just take a single unit to the fight. That is not something that's seen really anywhere else in FGO. Usually you have to take, like a fodder ally or something like that to sacrifice themselves to do a solo, but this is a true solo in that regard. So keep in mind that it's something you need to prepare for. You do not have to solo, though. You can definitely have full-blown loadouts as long as you kind of strategize it and come up with the compositions that you think will be successful, and you have enough units online, you will make it through. It is not impossible to do by any means. It is not like something that I think most people will find very difficult. But if you're a newer player or you're trying to blitz your way through and get to LB7, this can be a problem. So just keep in mind, you have a little bit of time right here. I'm going to try to get this video out as soon as possible, but you've been warned. Try to level your units. Try to make sure that you actually do kind of have units online and ready to go against that. The other thing to denote is there is really no way to actually use your command seals to revive here. There is no way to actually use your blue cubes here because of the nature of how the raid works. So this is going to be a limitation that you're just going to end up having for basically the first two phases of the raids. From there will be a final fight after the first two phases. That is, again, going to be against the raid boss, but that one's going to be the fight for all the marbles. It is a multiple break bar fight. You're going to have to really go through it, so just be careful with that. But again, the way the raid is basically going to work is you're going to be going up against kind of the same boss the whole time that is changing their class, and it's going to look like they have a ton of break bars, but really each one is an own individual fight. That's the way the first two phases go. After that, you're going to get to sort of another form of the raid boss, and that will be the actual final fight against the raid boss. Thankfully, while that fight is harder, you will have all of your units back for that fight. So again, that is something that if you're worried about locking out and losing all of your units, by the time you get to the final fight, you'll get all of them back, so you don't have to worry about that side of things. There is also another very particularly annoying fight towards the end. One that I feel like is worthy of mentioning, that there is a mechanic at the end of it that a lot of people got upset by, and it did manage to kind of work as a little bit of a cock block. This is the final raid boss fight, so not the one that I'm currently talking about here, but we do have a tab kind of to show you the final raid boss fight if you wanted to see it. But essentially, the final boss fight is going to end up having a very annoying mechanic that's going to revolve around you kind of needing to pump damage right at the end. If you have enough, you'll be perfectly fine. If you don't, you may struggle. This is, again, where taking a look at this spreadsheet, kind of knowing what to bring, looking at the recommendations for what we say, should help you out quite a bit there, as long as you have certain units leveled up. And again, this is where these recommendations are going to come from. So if you want like minimal spoilers, just kind of look at the recommendations here, and this should tell you just what classes you probably need online. But the reality there is LB7 is going to be a test for your entire account. That is by design. That is why a lot of people do get stuck on it. It is not impossible by any stretch of the imagination to get through. Most of you guys that have been playing the game for more than a year should have it easy. If you've been playing the game less than a year, it's going to depend on the status of your account and just how much effort you've put into it. But again, I don't want anyone to really worry about this. It's not some insurmountable obstacle, so you guys can certainly come up with strategies. But I did want to get this primer out there for you guys, that you had something to kind of guide you through in a more minimalistic way, should you so choose, since every other resource out there is just going to be kind of full of spoilers in that regard. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you like this style of video. I will try to see if we can maybe do something like this more in the future. But again, I'll be curious to hear you guys' thoughts and how you plan to do it. And again, try to keep the comments at least reasonably spoiler free. I will see you guys for the next one. Happy hunting if you guys are farming the JP Lotto still. And again, have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to the rest of you guys out there. Later. Okay. Now let's get off that page so that nobody gets spoiled. Like I said, I really wanted to do that in such a way that, like, I'm not just sitting here spitting out name after name after name after name after name after name after name. So there are 31 available saber faces, so you should be good for the raid. Yeah. Yeah, there are. Nice job. You made it sound not that scary. It's really not. It's really not, but there is quite a bit of health values there. I do recommend people take a look at that spreadsheet if you want a more minimalistic approach. If you want the full-blown in-depth approach, go to Fandom, go to App Media, go to any one of those resources, get all the nitty-gritty on the break bar effects, get all the nitty-gritty on the abilities that are coming in play there. So could you post the spreadsheet again? I will be posting it with the video. Wish I had that ex-foreigner in my NA. Yes. To be honest, I've been terrified of that one. The raid is significant. Like I said, most people are either going to get stuck on the raid, the fight following the raid, or the end boss of the actual thing. I'm not even kidding you. I have heard of people getting hard stuck on the end boss and being unable to progress into Ordeal Call. It's not common, but I've heard of it. So Does NA normally skip winter campaign banners? Yes, because usually the winter campaign banners are live events. Not always, though. You can hard lock yourself in LB7? No, not hard lock. Last break bar is a doozy. It is. Like I said, I didn't want to specifically state, like, listen, Cat, NA players that played on LB7 on JP can't keep their mouth shut. Oh, I know. Right? Like, but I did not want to spoil people. Like, yeah, all of that was there on the screen. If you really wanted it, you can go check it when I post the video, but I'm gonna try not to, like, again, blurt out like all the effects to you guys. I think if you want that level of detail, that's what fandom and the other sites are for. But if you wanted a, like, hey, I need an idea for this and I don't just want to see everything the boss does, that's what that spreadsheet's going to be for. Steam just released an Aurelia game, sus? Yeah. That game's been in the works a long time. And the reason I know about that is because back when I was doing research for what to name the mascot, I saw it. It was one of the very few things that came up when I searched that name. Because normally whenever I name characters for, like, anything that I'm doing, like, lore-wise and stuff, including Aurelia herself, right? I look in and I see, like, what other usages of the name are out there. And it's really funny because when I did the research for Aurelia, yes, there were other usages of the name, but there were not that many and they were not that common. And it's wild because since I named her that and implemented her and put her on stream, I have seen so many other usages that did not show up when I did my research. And it's like, the fuck? Like, even to the point of, since I debuted Aurelia, Elden Ring came out and has a summon named Aurelia in it. Like, that's the level of, like, what the hell, like, type crap I've dealt with. That's also why they're separate tabs, yes. And then times me out for it. Yeah, no, we can't do that one. we definitely can't do that one. Okay, I'm I find that really funny that Jay got timed out because, like, I didn't do anything. Also, it's fine. They're not actually spoiling anything. There's nothing there. But, like, how did I copy that? That's wild. Yeah. I got timed out. No other Jay. Same Jay, different Jay. But no, like, I don't know. I don't care if people want to, like, meme it, but, like, just don't actually spoil, right? Like, that's my big stance in all of this. But yeah, and like I said, I think it's a good idea. I a little bit, I wish I had done something like that for, like, LB6, because I feel like LB5, LB6, it would have been super helpful for people. Whereas, like, honestly, ordeal call wise, there has been, like, nothing difficult in Ordeal Call until, like, Ordeal Call 3 had some fights. Like, I guess there were some difficult fights in, like, Ordeal Call 1 and 2 if you went against the grain and you weren't, like, playing into the mechanic. It's like, if you did something else with that, there were some difficult fights. But honestly, your most difficult fights in the game seem to be LB5, LB6, LB7. And as to whether or not LB7 is more difficult than LB6, it can be, but honestly, for the majority of it, it's not. Like, I think a lot of that really just depends on your account. For instance, if you have a fresher account, that raid kind of gonna suck for you. If you have a robust account, you don't care either way. This event pacing is terrible. Well, to be fair, right? Like, they definitely have some downtime, but the question is, are you actually using the downtime to just make blue apples, or are you using it to do story, right? If you're using it to do story, you'd probably be done with it, but if you're just using it to make blue apples, yeah. 10 events in a whole year? Yeah, they should definitely be doing more, but I'm trying. Okay. Robust can mean many things depending on class needs. It can. But like I said, it's really just going to boil down to how well you've developed your account. Like, for instance, there is just no way in hell my NA account will struggle unless I'm doing the saber face only requirement, which I intend to, but I don't know. The meme might actually die here. Like, technically I could not do the final battle of Tunguska Saberface only, and the only reason that I don't really consider that to be broken is because there is actually no way to do it Saberface only. Like, the fight is specifically anti like Saberface because it is this only works if you have this gimmick in play. And it's like, well, okay, then what do I do, right? Like, it's almost like in the same way that I don't really consider it if you're forced to take MASH to be a violation of the run. I'm also not really going to consider it when it's like, oh, you're forced to bring units that have this and none of the saber faces have it. So it's like, all right, guess I'll just not then. Just gotta go ants go marching strat. Oh, I'll probably have to actually do solos for all of them to make it through with saber face only. The issue at play that I'm more worried about is I'm more worried about the final raid battle for saber face only, and I'm more worried about, like, actually that's probably the only one I'm actually worried about. I'm not worried about the rest. Maybe no. No, the rest should be fine. Especially because Avalon told me there is a very, very, like, one of the more problematic fights. There is an absolute hard counter to it, and it's so fucking easy to do. So now that I know that hard counter, because I wasn't aware of it when I did it on JP, but now that I know that hard counter, I'm not worried about that fight anymore. That fight's gonna be easy. Is it a summer unit? No, it's not a unit. It's like, it's something you need to do to the boss, and if you do it, it is hilariously, like, it's going to defeat the primary annoying mechanic of the fight. But yeah, like, that's gonna be my issue, is the final raid boss fight is gonna be difficult for me because of just the sheer lethality of that. So I'm going to have some issues with it. It's the same way that if you guys remember Beast of Cherishment back in LB5, that was also a very difficult fight for me. What? Did Nightbot just die? All right, hold on. It says there's no songs in the queue. Good evening, Khadroth. Oh, chat. Messages are down today. Y'all gotta pump those numbers up. Apparently, Nightbot's keeping track. Okay, there we go. Hello. How are you doing today, Hentai? Perks of having prepared some stuff for TAs, needed to know mechanics fully. Yep. Well, it's like, yeah, you know, Avalon does a lot of, like, Minturn stuff, and then on the same time, like, I'm always sitting there, like, poking holes in anything he sends me. So, like, naturally between the two of us, we're probably going to come up with like every actual fucking like issue in a fight. And it's why, like, again, like I went back at Avalon and said, like, yeah, but I need to know exactly how this works. And like, for instance, we determined that the order to the raids with the classes, there were rumors when that first came out on JP that there was some sort of like methodology to it. There is no methodology to it. It's completely random. Like, other than like there's technically like one or two that are not, but like the rest of it is completely random. So again, it's like, it's one of those deals where it's like, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to ask questions until we actually get the answer. And once we actually have the answer, then now everybody can know that. Yep. Oh, so it's just 1 out of 8. So it's not all the extra classes. Okay, good. That actually helps me. Because I know which extra class it is, so. There are 15, Bob. You're feeling horny? How's your day? Well, I as well am feeling horny. I don't know, my day was okay. Like it was just busy. I had like a crap ton of work I had to get out. Just tedious, monotonous work, so I didn't get to farm as much as I wanted. Like, my hope was actually to either be like done before stream with my farming or to be done on stream with my farming, which may still happen, but like, I don't know. I considered that I was probably going to be like not able to make it in time for the end of stream. How does next year look for NA? Well, like, what do you mean? Like, what do you want to know? Like, are there events? Yes. Is there story? Yes. We're busy early, but more loose later. Yeah, that's just kind of been their issue over time here. Next year, slow as fuck. I mean, I wouldn't say that. Is Ace a good farmer? Yes. Yes. She arguably just hits the hardest out of all the AoE casters. So, if you want to consider, is she a good farmer in relation to like every other farmer in existence, I think that's a lot more subjective. But I think she's still quite good. Does class hold her back? It can, to a degree, right? Like, are you going to like try to use her as a neutral looper or something? I would say that's probably not going to be the best use of her. That being said, there are plenty of opportunities to get away with like using her. So I think she's good. Yeah. Poor Summer Umu. Give the 50% party charge? Yeah. Destiny order is an Annie thing, right? We shouldn't expect one in a few weeks. Yes, I would assume that to be the case. I would assume you will not get one at New Year's. I'm wondering if I have enough time between Nito, Chris Alter, and Ask. Oh, probably, right? Like, that's basically January all the way till, like, early July. Chat, also, tell me if, like, I'm not paying attention and this actually does low roll, and I have to card. But, like, I have not seen a low roll yet that I've had to card on wave 3. Like since I did the class score, it's been kind of wild. Like, I would not have thought the like 5% NP damage up would have made this much of a difference, but it did. So it may be that it's like intrinsic with the unit and it's like it precedes all other modifiers or something like that. I'm just not sure. I've not looked into the math behind like how class score buffs are calculated. So that is, there you go, chat. That's something I don't know about the game. Right there. Oh, there's also another thing that I don't know, and I'll just flat out admit this. So, because we were having this debate today, I'm ashamed that I don't know this because I probably should sit down and figure it out. But I don't actually know with regard to command codes on Artoria. How they work if they are card specific. So, for example, if a command code is an arts command code that must go on an arts card, and Artoria changes all of her cards to Buster, does the arts command code still impact her Buster card? Do you still gain the benefit? Or does it just simply not apply because now the card is Buster? I just assume it doesn't apply. That's what I assumed. So if you guys look, all of the command codes I actually have on her are either Buster specific because they're on a Buster card, or they're not card specific. Because I wasn't sure, and I was like, well, that's safe. Like, if I just take crit damage up, I know it will work. As opposed to, hey, quick card only crit damage up, I don't know if that will work. Like I said, I should know this by now, but I've never, like, sat down and tested it. I guess because technically it's a rare enough thing to even need. Big class score, when do you think we'll get Beast class score? That's a good question. Is it even one of the ones that's listed as available? Because if it's not, I don't think you get it. But if it is on there on like I think it's the second one that it's on, isn't it? But I don't know. Oh, is it with extra one? Interesting. Well, that's even more reason to do extra one. I don't know. It's really weird because from everything we know, there were supposed to be 3 ordeal calls. Then they were like, hey, haha, just kidding. We made ordeal call 3, and now what was ordeal call 3 is now ordeal call 4. And then you start to wonder, like, okay, but are they going to do ordeal call 5? Is there going to be an ordeal call 6? Is there going to be like... All we do know is that Cosmos and the Lostbelt and by extension Ordeal Call will be done by the end of 2025. That's all we know. Because technically Nasu can just lie about everything. I will take him at face value when he says, though, that is the end date. Then it's Ordeal Call Part 2. I hope they don't do that. That would be one of the stupidest things they could do. Like I'm sure story-wise it'd be fine, but for like branding and marketing of the game, that would be one of the stupidest things they could do. Let's see 4.1. Well, that's what I like. See, it's really interesting that you say that because, like, I've seen Trubs has tried to tell me that the 4th ordeal call is Foreigner, and I'm not sure why, but I was under the understanding that what was supposed to be the 3rd ordeal call, and then now got pushed to now be the 4th ordeal call, is the Ruler one. So I have no fucking clue at this point. Like, I'm sure there is supposed to be a Ruler one. Is it like in addition? Is it going to get rammed into the one with the Foreigner? I have no idea. Like, it's just, it is what it is. And it's difficult to talk about this stuff because it starts getting into like spoiler territory. I assume Foreigner stuff would be pushed into the Lostbelt finale. I mean, it is what it is. But so like then when you start to consider like when will we get a beast class score? I have no fucking clue. Right? Like we have had like for instance, I think when you complete Ordeal Call 2, you get Avengers added as the class score. And then if you do the Bleached Earth challenge fight, you get Pretenders added. So like some of them may unlock by nature of those challenge fights still. Like that could be a thing. He didn't lie, he just didn't tell the truth. That's a lie. Not telling the truth is a lie. It's just what level of lie is it? Is it a straight lie? Is it a lie of omission? Is it a he told like a half truth type deal? Like that's Nasu in a nutshell. Yeah. Corner one has been hinted, but we know how sure hints are. Well, that's like, am I just like taking crazy pills, or was like the ruler thing like just not a thing? Because I could have sworn it was supposed to be ruler. Like, am I just completely off my rocker? Nasu is Grand Beast, obviously. I don't know, that might be Takeuchi. Corner stuff got mentioned in story plus shown in trailer, same with ruler. Yeah, so it's like I don't know, maybe there's like 5 or 6 ordeal calls at this point. Like it doesn't really matter as long as it wraps up by the end of next year. So it's like I guess the better question, chat, is how many stories do you see the developers pumping out between now and the end of next year? Do you think they have like 3 more in them? Do you think there's 2 more? Do you think there's only 1? So like, I don't know, right? Like, I think it really depends on what dev staff shows up. Is this the year 3 dev staff? Or is this the year 8 dev staff? If it's year 3, goddamn, we're in for a wild ride. If it's year 8, okay, there's 1 more. Yeah, I do think there will be a finale. I think like expecting there not to be like some grand finale to the entire like Cosmos and the Lostbelt and Ordeal Call arc is like, I don't know. I don't know what people are coping on if they think that's not going to be a thing. I think we're getting something next week. I know Trubs has talked about that. That's his theory at the moment. I don't think you're getting story, but maybe. Like there's definitely precedence for it, and we're literally about to go through it right now, which is LB7. So it is a thing. I don't know. But chat, today is Wednesday, right? Yes, okay. You know how much they love their limited units? Yeah. Well, technically, story units aren't necessarily limited, right? Wait, how did my charge end up that... now I'm going to question it. It's Wednesday, my dudes. That's right. See the story or an OC story quest? Well, I mean, we could have another Ordeal Call 3 scenario. And I don't mean like with Summer, I just mean like they could basically have an event that is an Ordeal Call. Kind of like CCC, right? Where it's like, oh, okay, this ends up being a thing. Oh, we're at 291. That means, Chad, I have 15 boxes left. Let's see how fast I can do them. Again, I'm not kidding you guys. I'm done when I hit my 500. I don't care. I'm thinking the next element fight personally, but who knows? Oh yeah, I mean, like I think we assume that there are five total challenge fights, right? Because we get a piece at the end of each, and there appears to be 5 pieces. Is it 4? I thought it was 5. Because I didn't think it was like an even like right angled wedge. I thought there were 4. Hmm. Let me double check that. Now, it technically depends on what you consider an element, chat. Because there's more like the traditional, like, I want to say like Chinese way of doing it. And then there's like Captain Planet, where there's the element of heart. Okay, maybe they are. Yeah, so it is 4. I don't know why my brain was just going like, wait, these aren't perfectly even. 70 boxes, 3 drops? Ew, that is bad. Do you have anything that you could do the 90 plus with, Bob? Uh-oh. Ooh, that was dangerous. I almost changed something with the comp. Nope. Yeah, I mean, at that point, just go as fast as you can, then. Get a really speed comp for the plus. Which, again, like, I don't know if chat remembers the comp that I was running, but like I said, it was like a modified version of Trubs. Trubs' comp is basically double Coin Dark. And, like, Arcuid, or anyone else that can kind of deal damage against Creamhild in the final wave. So basically anti-chaotic damage is really good. Whoops. Almost did a scuff there. Almost popped my Mystic Code turn 2. Which wouldn't be the end of the world, but it might make me scuff if I got no Artoria cards. Artoria works in a regular Buster comp. I might just roll her up when the time comes. Oh, she does. Yeah, like the biggest issue that like Artoria and like Lartoria have is they have so much actual charge in their kit, but they can't seemingly start from 0. So like they don't gain the benefit of like Black Grail looping. There is an exception to that, and that's if you have overcharge. That does allow that to occur, but yeah, most people are probably not going to go to that length. Now I need to find the right enemy to test it on. Oh god. Oh, did you get a command code that's specifically like it's specific to a card type and applies a debuff? Yeah, Karen works. Karen's one of the good ones. Yes, okay. Yeah, I was like, huh. Oh, removes buffs. Ooh. Trying to remember because there's definitely like enemies and free quests that have buffs, but sometimes they're like specific to that singularity, so it's like it's difficult. Like you usually can't remove the buff from them. Back up and defense up ones. Yeah, so you just need to find an enemy that can apply it. Like, I don't remember if like the Black Samurai in Shimosa have attack up, but I want to say they do. The man with the golden gun. It is. I miss Christopher Lee. The LB4 dragon? You have to be careful with the LB4 dragon, though, because it strips your own buffs. Some free quests with servants should do. That's true. I mean, you could go into a training ground. Training ground should definitely have that. One that makes stars. Yeah, you could do that. AQs could also work if the buffs are removable. Yeah, I wouldn't do it on the AQs. I mean, like, you could test, but like, AQs are such a mixed bag. Like, sometimes they'll have exactly what you want. Other times it's like, yeah, it's like, oh, this is just suddenly an unremovable thing. Doo doo. I missed them, not gonna lie. Who, the advanced quest or Christopher Lee? Have we gotten an MLB from the AQCs? Yes, unless you're talking about NA. NA has not. I don't think we get them until, is it part 14? Give me a second, I can tell you. Yeah, part 14 is the first one. It's the dust one. So, quite literally, I think, like, in rapid succession there, based off what I just showed off on that video, like, they were getting parts 12 and 13 real fast here. So, like, we'll be at that point relatively quickly. But, I mean, there's no, like, reason to do it until then. Saber Knights from Trom love spamming their attack up, defense up skill. Well, there you go. Yeah, so go sit on like one of the Trom nodes. Nothing else, right? No, there's MLB of the Bone, MLB of the Fang, and MLB of the Proof C as well. But those are the only ones for right now. They actually kind of like slowed down on giving advanced quests. And I think it's because same deal, they realized one, that they were going to give everybody an MLB of everything eventually. And two, I think the advanced quests are actually kind of annoying for the developers to come up with. Because it's like, basically they have to come up with a gimmick like challenge fight over and over and over and over and over again for every single CE. So like, take how many materials there are in the game, times that by 5, and that is equal to the number of advanced quests they potentially need to put in. That's a lot, by the way. So I think that at some point someone looked at this and they were like, huh? No, this is crazy. Why the fuck are we doing this? Like exploding sharks? Yeah. I mean, honestly, chat was right to warn me about the exploding sharks, but they were not as dangerous as chat seemed to indicate that they were. Like, they were very easily dealable with. Hello, mama. It's like 300 to 400 quests. Oh, yeah, easily. I think there's over 100 materials in the game, but maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, like, so then you think about that, it's like that's how many unique like fights they would have to do. And it's like, holy crap, that's a lot. Story replay, Lockacy behind Chernunos fights, thoughts? I have no issue with story replay. If you're going to make it like hard mode, that might be a problem, right? Like, and the only reason I say that is like, I have no issue with there being a hard mode of fights. I do have issue though if you're going to lock like rewards behind it. And it's really funny because like, depending on your mentality on this, people think two completely different ways. Like, if I talk to challenge people about this, they would say you should absolutely put great rewards behind every challenging fight in the game because they want more people to do challenge fight. Whereas usually I approach this from the standpoint of I myself like doing challenge fights. However, I understand that a good chunk of like the player base just does not. So like, I view this always as an accessibility thing. And I just say, nope, like doing the challenge should be its own reward. And quite literally, you should just not lock anything significant behind it. Like, you want to, like, I don't know, like give out, like, more mana prisms or something? That's fine. But, like, you want to, like, put a like, hey, this is the only way to get this craft essence behind it? That starts to get a little iffy, right? Good reward should be one time, not repeatable. Yeah. CQs can be fun, but I don't want it to be needed. Well, it's the same way like I've seen people say before, like, oh, we should be having like a new challenge fight every single day to do. And I'm like, I'm like, please no. Like, that would be one of the fastest ways to make me quit the game. I like challenge fights. But if you make me have to sit down and spend like over a half hour every single day on a fight, I'm not gonna fucking do it. Go play Elden Ring? Yeah, like, and I hate to say this, but this is the truth of the matter. FGO has always been 95% farming. 95% like waifu collector, go get materials for the waifus. It has been 5% challenge, and I'm going to say that at this point, most of the challenge in the game has been eliminated by the power creep of units. It's the truth of the matter. So like any challenges that like usually your challenge people at this point are what we like to call the min turners. They are people that are self-imposing their own restrictions on themselves to gain more challenge, myself included, right? Saberface only runs is technically a way of doing that. So like, I'm of this opinion that if you're playing the game purely for challenging, you've like completely missed the mark at this point. Because like the game has itself sort of invalidated that play style. Can you play the game from a challenge mindset? Yes. Can you still do fun things and get a challenge out of the game? Yes. But truly, there is no actual real challenge in the game for people that don't self-impose it. Like, you have to avoid meta units. You have to not want to like basically tie your hand behind your back, right? So you have to like not want to take anything powerful to a node, like restricting yourself to only like low stars and stuff like that. Or you have to, again, quite literally just have some sort of other arbitrary restriction on yourself to stop the game from being basically a cakewalk in most scenarios. Damn it, it's not what I wanted. Low rarity runs, etc. Yeah. Oil up? What are we oiling up for? I have better things to do than spend hours theory crafting comps for a dumbass quest. Yeah, like, again, I'm not trying to say that like challenge people are insane or anything like that. Just that like I find that trying to impose the challenge mentality on the rest of the player base is an inherently wrong approach. Like, period. End of story. I don't think there's any ground to stand on that. You would have had ground to stand on like all the way back in year 1 of FGO. But like, this is year 9 of the game. It's like, I'm okay with there being more challenging content. If they want to add more, that's fine. It just shouldn't be a requirement for the player base that has become used to it not being a thing. And to use another argument to demonstrate this, chat, how does chat feel about adding PvP to the game right now? Because it's a very similar style of approach. It's PvP has never been a part of the game, so why would we then overhaul the game to suddenly add it, right? You wouldn't be overhauling the game by adding more challenges, but if you started to make it a requirement, it would represent a similar change in play style for the average player. So that's where, again, like I'm going to say, it would have a similar effect of it might equally alienate people. But to be fair, I think the lack of challenge in FGO has alienated quite a few challenge people as well. But it just is what it is. I think that's how the game has gone. That's how the developers have decided to do it. And at this point, we can't like take it back, right? So we could try to rectify it some, but you have to be careful that you don't step on people's toes, in effect. They added PvP now, that might be a quit moment for me. Right, that's what I'm saying. It's like, so now imagine if instead they came in and they said, there's going to be a daily challenge quest. We are going to put a gold foe behind each and every one. People would do it. People would also fucking complain about it constantly. It would become a source of frustration for a lot of players. People would get deeply upset if they missed one. People would be extremely like agitated by some of the fights. So like, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, it's like, it's not a good idea to do something like that. I do think you can expand the challenge content in the game. You just shouldn't actually require it or put major rewards behind it, which is the same thing as essentially requiring it. The artillery command code didn't work once the card changed from arch to buster. It didn't remove the defense up or attack up from the enemy. Okay, can you do me one more solid, Avalon? Can you test the exact same thing, but now with a buster requiring command code on, like, say, like an arts card that then changes into buster, and see if it activates? It's probably going to happen the same way, but it might actually like activate, right? So should FGO do away completely with CQs and other challenge content at this point? No. Like, I think it's fine for it to continue to do what it has been doing. I'm simply stating the fact of, like, if they wish to add more challenge content, that's fine. Just don't require it. Like, I'll give you guys another example of this where it actually has occurred. Tesla Fest. I fucking hated Tesla Fest for that exact reason, right? It's not that there were challenges that I had to do. It's that there were a shit ton of them, and I had to do it all in like a pressure cooker environment. And it's like, no, I just want to farm, right? Like, you've got other shit you need to do that day. So Tesla Fest is a classic example of why you don't do that. Like, it's fun if you don't care too much about getting the farm done. It's atrocious if you have any sort of time constraint. Like, again, you're a real person that lives in the real world and goes to their real classes or their real job. It's just not something that your average person's going to have the time to be able to do, right? FGO removing CQs would be bad for me, as those are the things I enjoy the most. Right. Yeah, I think like if we talk about requiring CQs and making them way more pervasive and like daily, and that being a problem, simultaneously completely removing challenge content from the game would be the equal and opposite effect. It's like it's just the same thing on the other side of the spectrum. With all things, balance. I hope they pull that shit on us never ever again. Yeah, like I've said before that the issue with Tesla Fest was not the amount of CQs that they gave, it's the fact that they paired it with a lotto. If they had like split that out into like its own thing for like a week or two, I think everyone would have had a blast with it. I don't want them to remove CQs, but I want them to add a tab after the event is finished so people have a chance to do it. So you're saying like make CQs permanent? Yeah, I think that'd be fun. I have no issue with that. Like, and I've said before, it's like it's the same argument as like, hey, can we get like a replay of story or like a hard mode of story? I'm okay with it. Do it. In fact, that sounds fun. Just don't like require it, right? It's like it's there for the people that want to do it. It's not a requirement for anyone that doesn't. That's supposed to be awesome as its own event. Replace the farming nodes with just mini CQs and you get currency the more you clear. I mean, you don't even have to do like that. You could literally just do like a Dante's Tower event, right? Where it's like, it's just a CQ rush. And I think that's perfectly fine. Like, I would still have one gripe with Tesla Fest, and that's that with the way the coil quests were designed, it was extremely rough on newer players, free-to-play players, and players that did not just like have the right unit to solo some of them with. But besides that, like, I didn't mind it too much. I'd be down for an event that is just all CQs. Yeah, and like I said, like that's been a thing. So if they wanted to do that like once a year, I think it's fine. I got no issues with that. And it would be a cool thing to do. And actually, I'm gonna say this. I think it would actually raise the average like competency of the average player. Like having that in the game, more players would have to deal with more challenge content and more players would get smarter from it. It's why hard events are so much fun in Dokkan. It's because the event is permanent. So your current events are not up to snuff. I know I can do it later. Yeah, that's... A lot of the way these gacha games work is based off FOMO. So if you're not familiar with FOMO, FOMO is fear of missing out. And fear of missing out is what a lot of these live service games like to do because it's the mechanism by which they force you to keep coming back. I inherently think that this is a flawed game design. Yes, it makes the devs money. Unfortunately, it also means that like a player that falls off the train, so to speak, that basically ends up breaking that FOMO, ends up hating the game and never coming back. I think the more you FOMO a player, the more likely that is to occur. So like, I don't know why live service has chosen to go that route, but the thing that I can say, and this is absolutely true, you see it with the Pal World devs, where people have asked the Pal World devs like, "Hey, you don't have like something new to put out right now? Like, aren't you worried you're gonna lose all your players?" And the Pal World devs basically just say, "Go play other stuff. Have fun. Enjoy it. Come back when we have something more." That is such an alien approach to the live service model. That's the way games used to be developed. What that speaks, chat, that is Giga Chad energy, okay? That is you sitting there going, "Yeah, I'm confident in our product. It's a good product. We made a good game. We understand. Some of y'all have beaten it. You've done everything there is to do. Go do other stuff. Have fun. Enjoy it. We'll let you know when there's more, so that you can come right back and play it again." It's trusting that you've made a good product and that people will appreciate you for it, as opposed to not having the confidence in your product and needing to chain and shackle everybody to the product so that they can't get away. That's the problem with battle passes. That's the problem with login rewards. That's the problem with subscription services. That is literally FOMO. Anything that you can say causes FOMO is that approach. Live service games turned into a job. Yep. And so what ends up happening is you're on that FOMO train and you keep going and going and going and going and going. And then you're just like, "Oh man, I didn't log in for a little while." And then you ask yourself, should I come back and get back on the train? And the majority of people that have fallen off do not. Not always, right? Like, there's definitely some, like, for instance, I could say, like, League of Legends, right? Is another classic example that I like to use here in these scenarios where, like, people fucking hate that game. People also fucking love that game. So it's like they're in this just reciprocal love-hate FOMO relationship with it. But at the end of the day, League is not like super FOMO. Like, anything that comes out that's new will probably still be there when you get back. So while League is a live service model game, it actually doesn't have a shit ton of FOMO. And that's probably the best thing that's going for it, and it's probably why it has managed to stay alive all of these years. I think a little bit the fact that so many of these games have battle passes and stuff like that is why once people stop playing them, they don't go back. And it's obvious as to why. They go like, "Man, I've missed so fucking much. This shit isn't worth it." You say that, Cad, but they're starting. Wait, yeah. So, like, is League gonna do like a battle pass or something now? Because that's actually like the stupidest thing they could do. Is if I don't like how a gacha game is handling itself, I'm out. Yeah, 100%. And I think that's 100% your prerogative and something that every player should do. If you do not like how a gacha game is handling itself, get the fuck out. It's better for you, right? And it's, to be fair, I've done the same thing with numerous other gacha games that I've tried out. There's a reason I only play FGO. And I'm not saying FGO is like some perfect model. It's just out of all the other gacha games I've ever played, I feel like FGO in a weird way is the one that respects my time the most. Like, I definitely have times like here in Alato where I'm degening and I'm playing it a bunch. But outside of that, am I playing FGO a ton, like, throughout the day and stuff like that? No. No. I literally can go about the rest of my day doing whatever the hell I want. Does League have limited skins? Yes. However, all the limited skins do come back at points of the year. So like it's a thing, right? There's also like the gacha mechanisms by which to pull them. So like it does have FOMO, it just doesn't have the like subscription based FOMO or like login based FOMO type deal. But now they have gacha rolls for $250 skins. Yeah. Like I said, League has managed to survive because it hasn't put in the annoying FOMO, but League has absolutely put in like absurd like gacha milking processes at this point that everybody knows to watch out for. And literally, like, if you were to poll their community, 90% of the people would have a negative opinion of it. So like everybody fucking knows type deal. But it's like, yeah, again, those sorts of things are like, okay, but you don't have to buy it, right? Like, so that's what everyone tells themselves, and they basically gaslight themselves. It doesn't mean that League is not doing scummy stuff, right? It just means that League is at least in a live service standpoint operating itself in a way that doesn't immediately scare off its players and doesn't like force them to play the game over and over and over and over and over again. They instead just basically hinge on the fact that they have a addictive gameplay loop, which is smart. That is exactly what you want to do. Not necessarily make it addictive, but like you want a gameplay loop that is entertaining and it's going to repeatedly be so, and that will keep players coming back for more. It knows the Degens will come back. Yep. Which, like I've said, like one of my biggest issues with any of these games is when it does become a job. You guys know I work an actual job. I stream for you guys. I make content for YouTube. And there are numerous other games I like to play on top of that. So when one off game somewhere out there becomes an actual job for me to try and play, I'm on a ticking timer at that point. I just go like, nope, not playing. Because there's just no way I can keep up. And I understand too what like, I think where the live service industry gets this idea from is that they're really worried that everybody has the attention span of like a squirrel. And so they're like, if we don't keep coming out with stuff, if we don't force the player to stay here, they're just going to leave. They're just going to go elsewhere. They're going to get easily distracted. And that's true. But that's also okay. You just have to keep putting stuff out to bring them back, to make them want to play. You don't need to force them to. You don't need to try and shackle them to you. You just need to keep, like, again, having high production value in effect. But, like, should FGO do a better job of this stuff? I think it would help it more in the long run. And I'm dead serious on that. Like, so let's talk FOMO with FGO chat. So yeah, you can miss events, you can miss welfares. There's limited banners, but I think limited banners are just what they are. And the majority of how that works at this point is that basically every single one of the limiteds ends up getting a banner every year. There are some exceptions to that, but that is the way the majority of units in the game seem to work now. So I think on the banner side of things, FGO doesn't really have that much FOMO anymore. Or rather, the FOMO that it does have is way better than it used to be. Again, considering we had units that literally went like 4 years without a banner. So I'm gonna say on the banner side, FGO is doing a lot better. But on the event side, now we can't really quote unquote permanently miss the welfares thanks to Evocation Fest. But I'm of the opinion of here's where FOMO is acceptable. FOMO is acceptable in any scenario in which the item that you want comes back in less than a year. I'm going to say FOMO is like good here. And I'm going to say if it's like greater than a year, it's like kind of intermediate. It's like it's neither good nor bad. It just kind of sucks. You wish the thing would come back a little bit faster. And I'm gonna say if it gets 2 years plus, FOMO is just fucking awful. You should never have anything that's going over 2 years. Because, like, again, I'm going to point this out, especially in a live service game. Most of my live service games, so we just had, like, our Steam review come out for a lot of the accounts. So you guys can go check that out on your stuff for, like, everything that you played on Steam throughout the year. You're going to notice, like, this trend of, like, oh, how long do you play a game for? It's usually, like, a month. So, like, in a month's time, you can log into the game for the first time, play the game, play through the game, get some sort of mastery in the game, do a bunch of extra stuff, maybe get some achievements, and then quit the game. Now, that's a traditional game. In a live service model, a lot of the times, you're going to have a game that's made for repetition. It's, you know, usually player versus player in some sort, and it's, again, going to have you try to, like, keep going over and over and over again. But even then, players are streaky. They will play the game either when their friends are online and available, or like in bursts of, like, you know, 1 to 2 weeks at a time, even, or maybe even 1 to 2 months at a time. So trying to shackle them to it just creates this, like, animosity. And I'm going to say, in that time period, again, if we're talking about having FOMO of even, like, just a year, right on the year mark, yeah, your player could have immediately logged into the game, done all that stuff, and then quit the game before ever seeing that. So FOMO should not be set at high amounts, because there is a point of diminishing returns on FOMO. So let's use, like, let's say like a Jalter banner, for example. Should you give Jalter a banner every 6 months, every year, or every 2+ years? Like where is the breakpoint on Jalter? I'm going to say, especially due to the cyclical nature of FGO, at least a year seems good. Anything more than a year, you are losing value there. And the easy example for why is because in, like, let's say you go 2 years without a Jalter banner. The player can start the game, can get all the way up to max level, can complete all the story content, and literally grow tired of the game and quit before the Jalter banner ever arrived. Therefore, you didn't make money off of that player because you never put a Jalter banner in front of them. So there is an opportunity cost there. It definitely loses its value when you do that. Yes, you will get a lot of people to roll if it's been a long time since the unit's been there, but you'll have actually lost out on some of the potential earning. Now, that being said, if you keep running the unit every year after year, more and more of the player base has the unit, and you have diminishing returns there as well. So there is that argument. But hear me out on this, chat. This is not a problem if the game is continuing to grow, because it means that you always have an influx of new players. So therefore, there will always be somebody looking to roll Jalter. And this then ends up where it actually becomes a relatively formulaic and static thing. Oh, I did a dumb here. You could be like Gilgamesh, who gets a new banner every freaking time. Actually, they've really slowed down on Gilgamesh. Infinite growth is impossible, sadly. So it is, but it isn't. What do I mean by this? Well, are you actually growing, or are you, like, in the period of time, the longer you go out, are you just, like, slowly but steadily inching up? Doesn't really matter. All that matters is that essentially for every new player you get, it is offsetting every old player that you're losing. If this is true, then you have a cycle that forms, and you basically are again going to, like, okay, here's a Jalter banner, boom, these new players can roll on it. The old players already have her and don't need her. Oh no, an old player quit, but here's another new player, let's offer another Jalter banner. So it keeps going, right? That's really all you need. You need a self-feeding engine. Where this doesn't work, and this is true of any live service model, by the way, this is always why player count matters to live service models. If your numbers are going down, that completely breaks down in every way, shape, and form. That will completely break down. So that is the issue that you have, and why so many of these games are really paranoid about that sort of thing. Because it's like, yes, you cannot grow infinitely. However, what over time will continue to grow infinitely is like the gaming population. Oh wow, I killed without buster cards or my mana burst on. Let's go. That should not have worked. That must have been a high NP roll there. All right, chat, we're under 10 boxes to go. But like FGO is 10 years old at this point. I'm sure most of the people that wanted to play it already do so, already quit it. Oh, here, this is easy. Would you like me, chat? Would you like me to sell the game more? This is so difficult. Okay, so just for ease of use, chat, I've just taken this, and I'm pretty sure it's an AI image straight off of Pixiv, so we don't even need to bother crediting the artist. But like, all right, FGO puts this into the game. They promote this on Twitter, and they make it like Live 2D. I win. I make so much more money this way. Everybody starts looking into like, what the heck is that? Is that, oh my god, is that FGO? I need to play that game. It's that fucking easy. I swear to god, this is literally the entire business model of like Nikke, Zenless Zone Zero, like any of the like modern gachas are going with the sex sells model. It's the way FGO used to work, and FGO has stopped doing it. And it works. I can, like I said, I can immediately, if you put me in charge of this game, just turn this game around, like 180 it and be like, boom. We are now growing. Nobody is asking for FGO2 anymore. Everyone is just being like, oh my god, this game is like the best thing ever. Caught the Gooners? Yeah, quite literally. That's all you need. Because do you know who's going to spend money on your game? Gooners. That's who's going to spend money on your game. You know it. I know it. I feel called out. You're damn right you do. Okay, so for the other question, Buster-specific command codes work on color switch. So, if you put a Buster-specific command code on an arts card and then it switches to a Buster card, it works. I can abuse this. That's good to know. Thank you. Which means that, so for the record, chat, you may think that this is just an Artorias specific issue that will never affect anyone else. You're wrong. That will now affect other units as well. So anybody else that can shift their card type will also gain the benefit that we just talked about right there. So that's good to know. I'm actually happy to know that. That might impact some of my servant reviews. So like Durga, yep, Durga, Aoko, and anybody that can actually change what their card is. Do the animators have the potential to create your dream? Oh, listen, like, not even talking about that, right? Like, all of this assumes that they have a staff that can actually operate and can actually like do projects, right? Like, if they don't, well, there's your problem right there. You have a literally a game that has at least at some point made $1 billion and still makes hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And you're going to tell me you can't hire an animator for the game? This sounds like a corporate issue. I don't know. Like it doesn't sound like it's not a player issue at that point. It's not even necessarily like individual devs that are the problem. It's like quite literally the infrastructure supporting the company is trash at that point. Like that's all it is. Whoever is the decision maker in deciding not to give them the funds that they need to hire the people that they need to grow the game is the problem. Plain and simple. Now watch some other unit not working that way for funnies. I mean, yeah, but it should. Usually, like, again, I've just not looked at that interaction, so the fact that does work that way tells me it works that way on everything, because that's just the way this crap is. There may be an exception, but you're going to know what the exception is, because it's going to be like, oh, well, that's an exception, but the exception doesn't work the exact same way. Like it'll have different terminology in the skill. So I'll look at that, I'll see that, and I'll be like, I wonder if that works the same way. And I'm going to say, like, depending on the wording, maybe yes or no, right? And when in doubt, test it again. You got to hit the Zenless Zone 0 now? Damn. Have a good one, Abandoned. Too expensive to pay minimum wage for 1 to 2 guys to do stuff to get more money, right? Like, but I don't know, right? But that's what I'm saying. Like, FGO, I assume at this point just has like a management and logistic problem more than anything. And it's not like the game is like gutter trash or anything like that. It's just that if the game wants to improve itself and wants to grow more and wants to attract more people, in spite of its age, it needs to do those sorts of things. And can it? Yes, it absolutely can. Like, absolutely. Again, there are still like new people trying out League every day. There is still, I guarantee you, for every single time Azure Lane releases a sexy new skin, there are a ton of people that go download the game that had never checked it out before. So, like, yeah, it's just a thing. It's not surprising to me in the slightest. So, like, I'm going to tell you that is a recipe for success. As long as they are enacting that recipe, they're going to be good. If they stray too far from that recipe, they're not going to be good. Salter and Kayan have the same wording on the Buster refund, and they work different. Unless I'm wrong and never read it. Well, let's prove you wrong. So where I'm going to look for this, just FYI, don't go look at Atlas. Don't go look in game. No, sorry. Go look at Atlas. Don't go look in game. Don't go look at fandom, is what I meant to say. I don't know why I said don't go look at Atlas. Atlas is the way, like, the reason that you want to go look at Atlas is because Atlas will actually give you, like, the in-game, like, terminology. So, not what is said about the unit, but instead how the actual lines of code work. That's usually how you can tell a difference. So, you wanted Salter. And you wanted who else? Kayanskaya? Okay. So what does it say? Increases own Buster card performance 3 times 3 turns and grants increased own NP when using Buster attack 3 times 3 turns. Now, how does, well, we'll just go ahead and compare that immediately. Grant special attack status and special attack status to enemies and fighters, and increase NP when using a buster normal attack for 3 turns. Increases MP when using a buster attack for 3 turns. So right there, we're missing the word normal. And that's exactly why it doesn't work the same way. And I didn't even have to go to the code. That was already your qualifier. So what does this mean? When it's normal, normal means literally a card attack. If it doesn't include the word normal, it means it also applies to the NP. How do I know this? That's just how it always is. It's that simple. So that is why Salter's thing will actually refund with the NP itself. Is it that way written in game? I don't know. I haven't checked, right? Like, I could go check, but I can tell you basically that's probably the case. So we can go look at fandom. Fandom should have it reasonably. Huh? Did that not click on Salter? Okay, that was weird. When attacking? When normal attacking. So again, that may not be the exact same thing, but even from fandom, you'd be able to tell the difference. I know it's like, that's such a like tchotchke little thing, but it's the truth of the matter. It's like, and if you want to actually know and you're unsure, guess what, chat? You literally have to like go into here and like click on this crap and like go digging through the actual code. But you can find it out that way. So like that is a thing. Salter versus Bakin is they have the same wording but work differently. But that's the exception and not the norm. Yeah, I'm not going to say it's like always the case, but it's usually the case, right? Like, and you're going to pretty much find out very quickly. And again, like I said, there's always the just age old, if you're unsure, go test. Go make sure that that's the case. And I can't tell you how many times I've done that to like Avalon or Bob or like anybody else like helping me out. Like when we're sitting down and we're talking about a new unit and I'm sitting there and I start just poking holes. I poke holes in everyone's crap. I'm like, but have you actually tested this? I need you to go look at this. Let's make sure that this works this way. That sort of crap. We don't have to do that like in the vast majority of circumstances because like if let's say we get a new unit, right? Like let's say Bima just came out. Bima logically functions the exact same way that any number of other units that have his same skills do. So it's only if Bima has some unique aspect that has never before been seen that we need to go actually like figure it out. And even then, the majority of the time, it's fairly easy to figure out. Because once you've done it enough times, like, I don't know, I know exactly what to ask at this point. Like, I'll give you guys an example. So, Aoko's magic bullet ability on her first skill has an effect that essentially allows her to exceed the buff cap. And if the buff cap was normal for Aoko, it would make Aoko way less, like, valuable. So when people were telling me that there was a buff cap on Aoko when she first came out, I immediately smelled a rat. And here's why. Experience has shown me that no unit in the game can normally, within the conventional use, hit a buff cap. I have had people argue with me on this. I have been right every freaking time. I have never once been wrong on it. But it's fine, right? Like, I don't hold it against people because I understand they're just thinking that's the case. And the whole reason why I will tell them to prove me wrong is because I know it's usually not the case. So essentially what ends up happening is a lot of time people either get what the buff cap actually is incorrect, or they're not assuming that like something else is coming into play. And what I mean when I say conventional usage, chat, I mean usage in any sort of standardized composition. So like even doubling up skills with like double K and Sky is considered conventional usage. What is not considered conventional uses? Slingshotting using plug suit and units that death themselves in order to like hyper stack buffs on a unit. Like if you can get more than 2 sets of buffs on a unit, you're not conventionally using them anymore. You're literally going into like some sort of like hyper fixation to buff stack on the unit. Then yes, you can hit a buff cap. That is again the exception, not the rule. Because most people cannot normally hit that in any sort of conventional usage. Conventional usage is farming, is the way to look at it. There's a cap, but you have to force it, basically. Exactly. Never seen a buff cap? There are buff caps, but yeah, it's like the vast majority of players will never actually encounter them because you cannot traditionally hit them. And this is really funny because I remember where one of it came into play, I think, was arguments over whether or not Space Ishtar hit the buff cap. Space Ishtar has never hit the buff cap. Yet people insisted that to be the case otherwise. The interesting one, and I probably need to do some sleuthing on this as well, is I think there are certain crit-based units that could get very close to the crit cap thanks to the 4th append. But that I'm not entirely sure of. So I need to like actually beat that one down and see if there is like any unit out there that is that close to the crit cap. The Glazers are Wild Van Gogh. I'm looking at you. Yeah, and so like then you have to ask yourself like is using Van Gogh even in ever like in any usage of Van Gogh, is it ever conventional? Because Van Gogh is way more of a challenge unit. So it's like, okay, well, let's assume that now the person is like sitting there and they're just like chain like getting to their NP and re-upping it. Like, yes, you're probably going to eventually hit a cap that way. Can you get to it enough within like the duration of the crit buff to actually truly hit it? Maybe. Maybe not. Every time Space Star misses every color buff, I die a little bit inside. Yeah. But yeah, so like that's one of those where it's like it's just not a common thing and you just don't actually hit them. So you see people like where I usually see it is I usually see people trying to like flex with it where they're like, this unit is so strong that they hit the buff cap. And then I tell them, no, it doesn't. And then they try to cite to me incorrect information as to why it does. And then I tell them that they're wrong. And then they link me an article. That article is also wrong. And they've misinterpreted it. And then I'm right. I cannot tell you how many times that sequence has happened over the years. It's way too many. Because I can literally picture each time like what each step of the sequence is. My source is that I made it the fuck up. It's not that. The source is like they have a source, but the source is either incorrect or they've misunderstood the source. And it's usually a very specific source because I know exactly which one it is. So it's really, really funny to see happen every time. But, and the way to think about it like this, chat, is if you ever think a unit hits the buff cap traditionally, ask yourself this. What reason would the devs have for allowing the unit to hit the cap, like, conventionally? If anything, that makes the unit worse, because it means that their performance is limited. So they would not want to do that. Because then that would be the mantra of, like, this unit hits the buff cap, oh, why is their performance like not like just absolutely stellar? Well, that's why. So this unit's bad, so we're not going to roll this unit. So that would be why you wouldn't like do that, right? It's just that's a simple logic test you can apply to it. It's not in the dev's best interest to make a unit that does hit the cap. Now, from there, we did again, like let's take Aoko. You had a unit that seemingly could hit the cap. And so I looked at that and I went, that's really strange. Nobody else was questioning it. And I said, I bet Aoko has a unique cap. I bet her cap is not the same as every other unit. Or I'm just misunderstanding how this skill works. And that was correct. Aoko has a unique cap for her magic bullet. It is not the same as any other unit in the game. So, like, there you go. There was an example where the developers actually did design something that would have otherwise hit the cap. And the developer said, hey, this is bad. Let's extend the cap specifically for Aoko. So there you go. Isn't the buff cap some ridiculous number like 500%? It depends on which buff we're talking about. Because there are definitely like different caps that have more leeway and some that have less. It means that buff is useless to them now? Yeah, kind of, right? Twilight Zone? Out of Limits was what the name of that was. I don't know if that was Oh wait, I can go backwards. Hold on. It says it was requested by me, but I don't remember ever requesting that. Really weird. Oh, wait, hold on. Chat almost distracted me. I requested it? I got you. Oh, maybe that's why it displayed that it was requested by me. Probably because I went backwards, and so it can't retrieve who requested it. But that's interesting. It did sound like it. Is there somewhere that I can check all the caps? It is the same source that gets thrown at me every single time. There is a page on Atlas Academy that details what all the caps are. However, you need to be very careful because that page is not very well explained and people often misinterpret it. Hence the reason that I have people that make these claims from time to time. Gotta need to read it correctly. To be fair, half of that is like the page itself is kind of the problem. It's just not like the language it uses is not very good, is the way that I would put it. Atlas in general is not the easiest to read. Yeah. And that's why, like, chat, so I've talked about this before, because I'm sure if anybody that like volunteers for fandom watches me, they probably think I'm a piece of shit, and they probably think that I'm way too harsh on them since they're a volunteer wiki site. However, the reason I do give them shit is because they used to be a lot better, and they've seemingly like started to get really lackadaisical with their posting. That being said, the reason that I continue to use fandom as opposed to any other site is that it is preferable, because fandom is usually a very familiar and easy to understand layout. So I always go with fandom when in doubt. I can easily take a look and discern any of the information from Game Press, from Atlas, from App Media, or even from the in-game data itself if I have to. But it's not as easy for you guys to consume. So I always will go with fandom when in doubt, because it's a lot easier on the eyes. It's a lot easier to understand. But yeah, it's like, if I have to, I could absolutely go to Atlas's page and break it all down for you as to why things work the way that they work. I just don't expect you guys to be able to understand that, right? Like, I don't expect you guys to have to learn that sort of thing, because you shouldn't. Like, getting down in the muck doesn't, like, it should not be a requirement to understanding just like the basic principles of a character and the way the game works. I admit I pretty much just check fandom or ask you. Yep. And that's like, it's perfectly fine. I don't have any issue with that. I used to think Game Press looked equally as good, and then they redid their website design. Yeah, I think they redid it for like mobile format, right? Which, I mean, kind of is smart, but it's probably better to have both a mobile format and a desktop format. If you just have mobile format, people on PC probably hate you. We're gonna card it here because she'll kill. I play JP, so reading game stuff's out of the question. Oh yeah, same, right? Like, and that's part of the reason that I'm so good at actually being able to like determine things from like the wiki and stuff. It's because like it's kind of a learned thing from years of having to do this. Because I don't speak a lick of Japanese. Like, I'm sure some people probably think that I do, but I don't. I literally like, I can discern certain Japanese words upon hearing them from years of watching anime, but I can't read any of it on the screen, which is really funny because sometimes you guys tell me like, oh, I need to learn like hiragana because it's really easy, but I've never actually like sat down and done any of that. Airwolf, yep. If I have to check his battery 10 or 30%, I'll lose it all. Only 46 characters for 2 alphabets. Oh, is that all? Damn. You realize there's only like 26 in English. So it's already like almost double what I already have to know. Do you watch the secret level episode for Space Marine 2? If not, do it. Best would be on Discord. I watched all of like part 1 of Secret Level. It's really good. I highly recommend you guys watch it. Like, the series is awesome. In like, not in the way of like, oh my god, it's the best thing I ever watched. It's just awesome if you're a video game fan and you've played a lot of games throughout the years. Even if you haven't played a lot of games throughout the years, you'll still probably find it entertaining and cool. Like, it's just, it reminds me of Star Wars Visions, but focused on video games instead. It's just an anthology type short episode series, and each one features a game. Before bedtime show as a kid? I see. Many fights with my sister who wanted to watch Wonder Woman. Oh my god. The Helldivers one is just bad. See, I heard people say that it's good, so I don't know what to think at this point. Unless you're, oh, yeah, you're talking about the Sony episode, right? Like, I could easily see how that one's way more subjective, because like, apparently why people are pissed off about that one is because like the Sony one just keeps hopping, and it's like all of their titles, and so like there's rarely like anything of actual substance in it. I have a moral compass question for you. Okay. If I could control time, what's the first thing that I would do with my newfound power? Nothing. And you know why. Mom yelling, no one is watching anything, to bed. Yeah. Really? Nothing? Yeah, what would you do? What do you mean? This is a classic. Why would you skip this? You not adjust or manipulate anything at all. No, why would I? I'd go back in time or slow down time to prevent accidents or deaths. Have you never watched any like time traveler series? Anytime someone messes with time, it fucks it. It always fucks it. And it fucks it specifically for them. If you ever have time manipulation power, don't touch it. Do nothing. Literally do nothing. It's the only safe play if you don't want your life to get worse. Yep, that's just the way it is. Butterfly effect is a bitch. It is. I've never watched the butterfly effect. Even if you haven't, you've probably seen an anime. Have you ever seen Steins Gate? Have you ever seen Back to the Future? Have you ever seen like anything with time travel, right? Like it's always a problem. Stop time and make slight changes that would make everyone doubt if something was like that. But you see, here's the problem with that, JC. Let's say you do that, but then you notice when you return that something else is slightly off. And then you begin to doubt whether or not someone is fucking with you. And then you slowly start to go insane from it. That's your issue. Yes. The disco Star Wars theme. Definitely an old one here. Especially this is from 1977. He said control time. Oh, listen. Listen. You think. Okay? You think. For instance, Kang can control time, chat. Look what happened to Kang. And his actor. IRL. I rest my case. I don't think I need to clarify this any further. He can't control time though, sure. Erased in Tokyo Revengers. Oh god, yeah, erased. Oh, don't do that. Boy, can she kick? She can. It's so funny because you realize that, like, man, back then, even then, women were hot. They just had a different, like, style to them. And whether or not that's attractive to you remains to be seen. Controlling time is like the people at Jurassic Park saying they have complete control. Yeah, absolutely. Psionics seem kind of cool, but the risk of going psycho is high. Wait, maybe you're right. I would go back in time and I would stop Star Wars from being sold to Disney. It would end up worse. But I would feel morally obligated to do that. That would be the only way. You'd create a time ring, Cad? Yep. Decide to Morbius it? Yeah, like I said. But you know what? You know what? If like somebody acquired Star Wars and they just like they killed it, and it just like there was never any more Star Wars ever again. At least the Star Wars that we had would be good. We would have never had episode 7, 8, or 9. And I think about that and I go like, wait, that's good. That's actually an improvement. Like it can't get worse at that point. But like, yeah, obviously there's worse things that could happen to it, which is that like somehow, some way, somebody makes something even worse than the Disney products, right? So it's like, yeah, I would have to go back in time and do that, but I would probably regret it. L-Dubs, thank you for the 25. Hope you're having a good one, bud. There is episode 7, 8, and 9? No. Sony would produce Star Wars movie in the same vein as Madam Web, Craven, and Morbius. Wait, what's the difference? That's just the same as what Disney's doing right now. And I say this as somebody that has watched Morbius. Unironically. I have sat through the entire movie of Morbius. Just to see how it was. But yeah, that was a long time ago. Honestly, like, people give the original trilogy for Star Wars shit, but the original trilogy is still just really good. Like, in a lot of ways, right? Like, could you make it better? Yeah, but I think the odds are you would screw it up instead. All the time talk, Doctor Who theme was appropriate. I have never seen Doctor Who. So I started watching Ultraman with Trubs and Ash over the weekend, and like it got me thinking that I've never watched like Kamen Rider either. And I'm like, man, maybe I should watch like Kamen Rider or Doctor Who or like any of these like older shows that people always rave about that I've just never like touched with a 10-foot pole. I like the prequels, but accepted they're flawed. Anyone hating on the original trilogy is just downright wrong. Yeah, I agree with that. I think when the prequels first came out, I thought they were pretty bad, and over time I learned to accept them. And I'm not even talking like because of Disney and stuff. It's just what I realized the problem was with the prequels was not the story. It was not the actors. It was purely the dialogue. Like whoever physically wrote the script just had some cringe ass like things that they wrote. It doesn't mean all of it's bad though. Some of it's actually still quite good. So like, it's just, I realized that was kind of some of the problems with it. I also think like if there's any major real like plot issue in the prequels, it's with the fact that Anakin actually does fall to the dark side because Sidious didn't put in enough work. And the only reason that it seemingly does work and is explainable is if you instead think about Anakin as a himbo. That's the only way. Anakin has to actually be a himbo for that to be a thing. But I think that's like the only actual like plot hole. It's like there's just no way anyone would be stupid enough to not realize they were being manipulated by him. I saw Star Wars opening night. Bruh. It's really funny because I watched Star Wars when I was really young. Like 5 years old, right? Like way younger than I probably should have been. And I've just loved it ever since. Like, actually, I say that when I first watched Star Wars, because I was so young, I was scared of Darth Vader. But like literally, I think like I went another year and then I watched Star Wars again and I was fine with it. But like Darth Vader was like actually nightmare fuel that year. And I think if I remember correctly, the reason why is because like I watched Empire Strikes Back and I heard his like asthmatic breathing. And then I saw the scene where like he has his helmet off and it's just like his bare ass like brain exposed. And like that bothered me as a kid. Because I had never seen anything like that before. Lucas has not been good at dialogue. Yeah, like basically a big chunk of like Lucas is the creative genius, but a big chunk of why the like original trilogy is so good was all the people that Lucas surrounded himself with. And unfortunately, by the prequel trilogy, a lot of those people were gone. And so unfortunately, what you had left was a lot of yes men. You can actually watch Red Letter Media's breakdown of it. They absolutely excoriate the prequel trilogy. But while they do make a lot of good points and a lot of like why the prequel trilogy has its issues and could be better, I think they over magnify it. And I'm gonna say at the end of the day, it's like it's still not a bad movie. The issue is, yeah, like everybody was just kind of towing the line and said yes to everything that kind of George wanted, and it resulted in a movie that, while it is like holistic in its creative vision, like it's all George. The issue at play there, though, too, is that it's not as good as it could be if they had included other people in the like, you know, the process. Original trilogy, Vader's a great villain. He's really menacing. Yep. Yeah, Vader's absolutely phenomenal. And it's why, like, usually if you see a list of like the most iconic villains of all time, Darth Vader is usually like number one, if not in the top 5. But he has such an iconic design, and then like everything else he has going for him. So he's menacing, he's wheezing, like everyone knows the whole like that Vader does is he's like breathing through the mask, and like it really is. It's just iconic at this point. Like anything else that tries to do that at this point is basically just ripping off Vader. So it's like, yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal. Who could ever forget Porkins as he gets blown up? Yep. Well, like what's wild, right, is like you remember the name of Porkins, but do you remember the name of like any of the like side characters from the sequel trilogy? I'm gonna be real with you, like I struggle to remember even the main character's name in the sequel trilogy. Not like Rey, I remember Rey. But like I remember Rey, I remember Finn. Poe's the other one. God, that took me a bit. Okay? And y'all know I'm a huge ass Star Wars nerd. So like the fact that I had to sit there and think and try to recover who the other person was that's with them, like that should tell you it's like they're just insanely forgettable, right? There was that Luke guy. Yeah, I mean, I'm not counting the people from the original trilogy. Kylo I remember, aka Ben Swallow. Literally the best meme to come out of that. Like honestly, Kylo's character is probably my favorite. And I still have issues with that character. I don't think he's like the best, but he's probably my favorite character because he's the most interesting. I guess Finn's character is also hella interesting. Like Finn's character is like, man, they really fucked that up. They had so much potential to write a story about a stormtrooper going rogue, and they just did like nothing with it. It just reveals how bad they set things up. The villain was never threatening. Well, like, even then, right? So ask yourself in the original trilogy why the Death Star blows up Alderaan. It's meant to show the power of the Death Star. It's a demonstration. And it's meant to basically shock the characters into realizing the sheer potential and set up the combat at the end of the first movie, right? Like the actual like what's the word I'm trying to think of here? Oh my god, my brain is dying. The actual like emergency of the end sequence there, okay? Whereas if you go to the sequel trilogy, they fire their death planet and the laser splits into 7 parts and kills all of the major capital like core worlds. Which, by the way, like, congratulations, that is literally like the worst thing that's ever happened in Star Wars. That is worse in theory than metachlorians. And I hate metachlorians. So, like, what I'm trying to say, chat, is they canonically killed off, like, every major core world. The only benefit that you have, they didn't list which worlds it was. So they're going to try to pretend like it was none of the important ones, even though they heavily hinted at it being like every major capital world. All the New Republic shipyards. Yeah. It's like, it's just actually stupid. It's actually stupid writing. Because what they did when they did that is like, oh, is that an awesome display of force? Yes. It also just leaves the like the good guys nothing to do. Like they can't do anything against the villain then. And then similarly, in the second movie, they just kill off Snoke without setting anyone else up, which similarly leaves no antagonist for the third movie, which is why it has to be Palpatine. Because they have no one else they can do. That's why they had to bring Palpatine back. Can't wait for them to randomly return to Coruscant because it's too iconic. Oh, they will. I guarantee you Coruscant wasn't destroyed, even though they said they destroyed the capital of the Republic, which would have been Coruscant. So it's like, it's actually just hot garbage what they did. Like, the people that wrote it don't know Star Wars and should have never been entrusted with the script. It's just actually bad. It's set up before the 9th movie in Fortnite. Oh, yes. The car chase where both ships can only go 60 miles per hour. No more, no less. Well, it's not that, right? Like, it's all happening in hyperspace. But yes, it's stupid. And then the fact that that Holdo destroyed the ship that way. So that one was so bad that they had to actually in the third movie come out and say, yeah, that was a one-off that can never happen again. Because I think they realized how stupid that logic was. That, like, if you can just jump to light speed into another ship, that is the only tactic that the rebellion would have ever used against the Empire. They would have just taken some shit-ass junker that they found on some junkyard planet, like strapped an engine to it, and just aimed it right at every fucking Star Destroyer in existence. They would have just said, nope, fuck it, kamikaze, over and over and over again. So it's like, it's why they couldn't allow that one to exist. And to be fair, it was also not possible before they did it. Like, it was stated to be a thing. All right, chat. It is 11:01, and I am at 300,000 tickets. That is my 500 boxes. I am done with the JP Lotto. I guess I technically need to run the 5 AP node here, but we can do that on that AP. Yeah. But there we go. With 5 days remaining in the event, too. They reused that concept in one of the comics. Yeah, like, it's been a thing, but normally, like, you have to do something to make it possible, of which they did nothing. They didn't do any of the setup to make something like that possible. But alright, chat, that's going to be it for me tonight. Let me see who all is on. Who all we give love to. Let me send you guys over to Mr. Fino. He's on tonight. He's playing some Alien Isolation. And again, I'll be back probably tomorrow. I say that tomorrow we might do like media share or something. So I'll just have to like think about what it is I want to do. But yeah, we'll definitely have some fun. In the meantime, again, like I said, I'll try to get the next video out here. Gotta get some stuff handled for it, but if not today, then, or sorry, if not tomorrow, then probably Friday at the latest for that video, because I'll really try to make sure it's a thing. And yeah, I don't know. Just stay tuned for upcoming announcements on the JP side of things. Again, we're expecting something on the 24th, basically, so we'll just have to see. So thank you guys for watching, as always. Thank you guys for all the support. Go give Mr. Fino my love. Have a good one.